Good morning. This is the regularly scheduled Birmingham City Council meeting for May 14th. This morning we have Dr. Timothy J. Woods, pastor, Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church, to do our invocation, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be by President Pro Tem William Parker. If everyone would please stand for the invocation and the pledge.
Shall we pray? Gracious God, we thank you for this day. Thank you for another opportunity to serve. We thank you for your grace and we ask you for your guidance. Bless our mayor, bless our city council persons, bless this city at large. And we promise to give your name glory, praise, and honor. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, will you please call our roll?
Councilmember Alexander.
Good morning, here.
Good morning. Councilmember Hilliard. Councilmember Hoyt.
Present.
Councilmember O'Quinn.
Good morning.
Good morning. Council President Pro Tem Parker. Councilmember Smitherman. Councilmember Williams.
Present.
Councilmember Woods.
Present.
President Abbott.
Present. Thank you. Approval of minutes from previous meetings. We have the minutes from February 19th and February 26th, 2019's meetings. Do we have a motion for
So
approval?
moved on both.
Second.
Voting should be open. Two, four, six. Am I missing Councilmember Hoyt?
Yes.
For the minute, sir. Okay, that vote should be up, Madam President.
Thank you. That item passes. The meetings are not ready for the March 5th through May 7th meetings. Communications from the mayor. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Morning, Madam President. Morning, Madam President. Good morning to this council. Good morning to the public. Madam President, if you all don't mind, I'm going to get straight into our budget. I would like to present the proposed 2020 operating budget for the fiscal year July 1 of 2019 through June 30th of 2020. As you see in these books that are passed out to you, this is the actual proposed budget. Chaz, can you make sure that Ms. Kidd, as well as Mr. McDaniels, also receives one right now as well? Thank you. Madam President and Council, a few weeks back, I had the chance to visit with some residents in Central Park in the neighborhood. The purpose of that was to connect with them, engage them in conversation and hear some of their issues and receive some of the things they wanted to talk about. But while there, some things I saw with my own eyes disturbed me. I saw a lot of blighted structures, a lot of homes that were beyond repair. And it's not your usual home that's beyond repair. A lot of them were actually burned out. And I think the only thing that disturbed me more than that, and I shared this with Ms. Vicky, the president of Central Park, and some other people in that area, was that you had homes next to these burned out structures where children were living in them under the age of 6, literally outside on their porch playing. And in my mind, these structures are more than eyesores. No child should live next to a burned out structure in our city. They're hazards to our community and to the health and well-being of our residents. And so the next day I instructed city crews to take down those structures as soon as possible. Now in that vein, that is how I look at this budget. How do we continue to address neighborhood revitalization? I think for me it's important for people to hear me when I say this. We have a moral responsibility to ensure the safety of each and every resident of the city, from the youngest child to the elders of our communities. All 99 neighborhoods deserve our undivided attention, care, and resources. And so for this new fiscal year, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment in the life of our city. We know our priorities, and it still comes down to two words: neighborhood revitalization. It has been a fundamental cornerstone of our administration since day one, and that will not change, because our greatest asset is our people. From each and every resident to the 4,000 employees who work hard for their city every single day. We are here to serve them, to make sure our priorities align for the betterment of their lives. And I am committed as mayor to investing in and protecting our people. We know what we must do to strengthen our city. But for far too long, Madam President and Council, the habits and practices of business as usual when it comes to the city funds has overrun the needs of the people and overrun the needs of the neighborhoods. And so a year ago, we took the first steps of change. We created the Neighborhood Revitalization Fund to support the work our neighborhoods expect and deserve. We invested in our people with an increase in the city's contribution to our pension fund. We created a process to promote transparency in the work of our economic development efforts through requests for proposals. And we set aside dollars to maintain the basic equipment we use each day to serve the city. It was the first step, but this year we must make greater strides to do more than just enough. If year one of my administration was the catalyst for change, then year two is when we fulfill our potential. Again, this is indeed a pivotal year. Our finance team, led under the direction of Lester Smith, and let me take the time in this moment to say thank you to Lester, thank you to his entire financial team, thank you to members of my team, Kevin Moore and Chaz Mitchell and the entire team. I've spent more time on the first floor in the finance department over the last 6 weeks than I've spent in my own office on the third floor. Our finance team projects $6.5 million in revenue growth for the new fiscal year. In addition, we are securing unrealized revenue through the code changes in the Department of Planning, Engineering, and Permits to align us with other municipalities for what is charged for commercial construction. We expect $3 million from these fees. This new fiscal year will also mean an estimated $1 million in additional revenue for the city from the state's recently approved gas tax. Altogether, Council, we project a budget of $451 million for the fiscal year of 2020. Again, that's $451 million for the fiscal year of 2020. Since taking office, my administration has adopted cost-saving measures to perform our basic city services in a more effective and efficient way. We have implemented a new focus on fiscal responsibility by targeting our obligations, investing in our people and equipment, and preparing for unseen challenges in the future. All of this must be done while maintaining a laser focus on our absolute priorities. And so we jump right into it. Neighborhood revitalization is the single most important work of this administration. In order to better serve our neighborhoods and our residents, we must remain focused on increasing our investment in our neighborhoods through street paving, pothole repairs, demolition of blighted structures, and smarter services. The operating budget I propose to you today will increase street paving this year for a total of $8 million. We have heard the calls of our residents to fix our roads and streets. These funds will go to address the City Council-supported paving plan for all 9 districts. Let me be clear. We're going to pave our streets. Removing blight in our neighborhoods remains the most requested item I hear from the people of our city and I dare say at least 1/4 of this council. This year we have invested in equipment to increase demolition of blighted structures with city crews while creating a coordinated effort with contractors throughout the city. We have removed more than 450 structures that are beyond repair since January of 2018. And we're committed to cleaning up and maintaining our neighborhoods through a nationally recognized weed abatement program. We have invested in new front loaders, brush and trash pickup through economic development investments deposited into the Neighborhood Revitalization Fund. Combined, we will invest $4.7 million this year in blight removal and weed abatement, and that is proposed to you today as well. $4.7 million, which is a $1.5 million increase in demolition from a year ago. We're going to remove blight because that is what our citizens deserve. In addition to that, Council, we will invest $500,000 in code enforcement technology designed to help our enforcement officers serve our residents more efficiently and effectively. I want to talk about something that's sensitive to all of us, and that's the land bank. I understand the frustration of the pace of the city's land bank authority. I share in that frustration. While it's a powerful tool in upholding the promise of neighborhood revitalization, we all agree the program has not moved with the speed in which we expect and need it to. And so this fiscal year, we will see a $1 million investment for the Land Bank Authority to work closely with the Jefferson County Circuit Court to fast-track clearance of titles on 200 delinquent properties. This effort will speed up the process so our residents can restore and repurpose properties sitting empty in their neighborhoods. Combined, these funds, Council, represent a total for $14.2 million dedicated to neighborhood revitalization. Again, that is $14.2 million that we are supporting and investing in neighborhood revitalization. In addition to that, the budget will reflect my commitment to return grocery stores and healthy food options to our communities. The City Council, thanks to you all, have already invested in and via support and vote of $500,000 to the Healthy Food Initiative. And incentives will be tied directly into the Neighborhood Revitalization Fund as we work to create a better day for all of our neighborhoods. This administration is committed to responsible stewardship of the city's funds and financial standings. I don't have to tell this council or remind you all over the last few months, our creditors have taken a hard look at us. Because as it relates to what the city is responsible for and the moral obligation we have to our employees, the truth is, for many, many years, the can has been kicked down the road. And we, as a combined mayor and council, are in no situation where we can kick the can down the road. We must meet our financial obligations. We must meet our moral obligations to invest in our employees. Because if we say our greatest asset is our people, then that includes our employees. In the last year, we have identified the massive neglect our pension system faces from nearly 2 decades of doing absolutely nothing. And so hear me clearly when I say this. We will not sit idle while our employees' future suffers. In addressing benefits for city employees, I had many choices. We could do what we've been doing for years, which is nothing, or we could take a stand. And so instead of kicking the can down the road, we decided at this moment in our city's history to do what others would not, which is focus on our pension. We must make decisions to take care of our employees today and long term. This is a commitment to fiscal responsibility, and it is absolutely a moral responsibility for our administration. So that starts with fully funding our annual obligation to the pension fund. I'm happy to announce to this council and to this public that the city of Birmingham, for the first time in many years, y'all, we will meet our ARC, and we will fund the city's obligation in its entirety. This budget will reflect our commitment with an additional $5.8 million going to the city's contribution. This commitment, coupled with proposed cost savings from the pension board, will send the message that the city of Birmingham is committed to our employees and our financial standing. And so let me be clear again. We will fully fund our pension this year. As I said, we face many choices. In addition to increasing the contribution to the pension fund, this budget will provide longevity pay. In order to keep health care costs for our employees in check, we have increased the city's contribution to employee benefits by $3 million. But with these commitments, we must make tough choices. Combined with the merit-based raises, longevity pay, an increase in the city's contribution on employee health insurance, and a stronger pension system will protect our employees both today and in the future. As you can see, those investments total $13.9 million for our city employees. You know, I've often spoke about to you all individually what priorities were tied for first place. It wasn't a 1 or a 2, it was literally tied for first place. It was our pension and paving streets. And as you can see, this fiscal year reflects that with two of our biggest increases in this budget are meeting our financial and moral obligation to support and invest in our pension for our employees and $8 million for paving streets. And so with that, for the second year, we are putting money into a deferred maintenance program to maintain our equipment and efficiently serve the people of our city. In addition, information management services will modernize the city through Image Now. This $800,000 investment shifts the way the city does business. We want to move from mountains of paper to the digital age, providing an efficient, effective, and accountable government to our people. And as Police Chief Patrick Smith enters his second year of leadership at the Birmingham Police Department, my administration remains dedicated to providing what our officers need to serve and protect the people of our city. Already, Chief Smith has implemented system changes in the department to address crime. This budget will help modernize the department with a proposed $1.5 million investment in a real-time crime center. We believe this is the future of crime enforcement in our city. Officers won't drive blindly into a crime scene, but have the full support of technology to know the situation they face and to help them better solve crime. This is a commitment to make Birmingham's neighborhoods safer. This budget makes tough choices to support our priorities. For a second year, we have taken a hard look at vacant positions throughout the city. I think some of our senior members of this council, Madam President Abbott, Pro Tem Councilor Parker, and Councilor Stephen Hoyt all know that we played a shell game in what's called surplus personnel. But has left the city choosing between city services and some other things that have not been taken care of. And so these are positions that represent a line item in our budget with no real service provided for our people. With the exception of police, fire, and public works, we will continue the reduction of these unfilled positions to create more funds to provide real services for the people of our city. I am pleased to share with you the next steps in making the Birmingham Promise a reality. This budget represents a $2 million investment in secondary and post-secondary workforce development, creating apprenticeships and real opportunities for our young people as they enter the job market. I am happy to say that I've spoken to many of you all about this individually, spoken to the superintendent about this, as well as spoken to individual school board members about this, spoken to even some of the union representation of the teachers unions, as well as PTA presidents who fully support this. The priorities we have set before members of the council acknowledge our shared priorities to neighborhood revitalization and fiscal responsibility. We want to emphasize our partnership between the mayor's office and the city council, and I will go into detail a little later. But to start off, I want to talk about what we want to double. You all submitted a proposed budget to us. We weren't able to get you everything we want, but we did get you something. We will double down on our collaboration. In addition to the nearly $500,000 in professional services and consulting you all will receive, I am committed to also giving you all an additional $900,000 in discretionary funds for the city council. That is $100,000 for each district. The truth is, Councilor Hoyt, Councilor Alexander, Councilor O'Quinn, Dr. O'Quinn, Madam President Abbott, Pro Tem Parker, Councilor Williams, and Councilor Woods. And in the absence of your two colleagues, Councilor Hilliard and Councilor Smitherman, you represent your districts and you know the issues in your districts. And so we want to encourage you to take these discretionary funds to further invest in your districts. This fall, we will come together as a city to make an important decision to hold a citywide vote to extend ad valorem taxes to support Birmingham City Schools. I want everyone to understand that these are not new taxes. Again, these are not new taxes, but a renewal of ad valorem taxes last approved by voters and residents of this city in 1991. This budget supports a referendum, which is an election to hold a citywide vote and special election for 3 council seats. Again, this is a pivotal moment for our city. It is a moment of change for our city when we commit to addressing the work of our residents, demand, and providing the fiscal responsibility we all have sworn to uphold. And this moment of change can only happen when both the mayor and the council unite for the good of our constituents. I want to encourage each of you to join me in supporting this budget for the good of our people and for the good of our city. A couple more points, Madam President. Chaz, am I bringing this board from you? Counselors, in your booklet, if you can turn to page 29. On page 29, you see the mayor's proposed operating budget for fiscal year 2020, and the categories are revenue, so pretty much we get our revenue from real estate ad valorem, we get our real estate from business taxes, permits, fines and fees, intergovernmental taxes, charges for service, and a few others. As you can see this year, our real estate was pretty flat. Ad valorem was flat. As a matter of fact, we probably dipped about $1 million. And everything else was pretty flat. Our permits were flat. Our fines and fees were flat. Intergovernmental fees were flat. The only 2 areas we saw an increase were charges for services, which was a $3 million increase. And we saw our sales tax go up. So I want to break down these sales tax for a while, or break down these sales tax to you. Our sales tax increased by $4.9 million. Our use tax increased roughly around $350,000, but it's $348,494 to be exact. Our occupational tax saw a huge increase of $4 million. and we're proud that people want to do business in our city because our business license increased by $1.8 million. Combined with charges for services, which I told you was $3 million, and some other fees, that's revenue is increased. Lester, help me if I make sure I get my number right. Is that $10.5 million? That's a $10.5 million increase, council, this year in our revenue. That represents about a 2.4 increase in our total revenue from last fiscal year. So, while that is something to celebrate, that is challenged by what I'm about to say. And I probably have to erase this in a minute, because when we look at our employee benefits and compensation increase, that is a 3.1 increase. Whoever's managing this, can you go back to the page that references our employees' investments? So as you see up here, it's $5.8 million increase for our pension. So we're fully meeting our ARC. There's $2 million in longevity pay. That's $3.1 million in healthcare costs, and that's $3 million in merit. That is a combined $13.9 million. That represents a 3.1 increase. So out the gate, just for this fiscal year, our revenue is a 2.1 increase, 2.4 increase. But our financial obligations to our employees is 3.1, which out the gate we're already upside down. Before you talk about operating, before you talk about basic city services, the contributions we have to give to our employees is already outpacing our revenue. And so that is why there are no sacred cows. That is why we had to look at how we engage surplus personnel different. Because if you did engage surplus personnel, you will have to look at how we provide our city services differently. And so that's the first point I wanted to make. Just to get to even, we would have to reduce our operating and services by $3.3 million, but we're no space to do that. And so in addition to that, I want to talk about the mayor's budget. Publicly, I've said I'm not increasing my budget, but if you turn to page 35 in your book, I think it's page 35. Page 35. My mic went, oh, there it is. Page 35, as you can see, at a high level, eighth on this line is the mayor's budget. That is not an increase in personnel. That's not an increase in my people. The increase you see is from the pension benefits. The increase you see is from the grant match, and the increase you see is utility costs for the Negro Southern League Museum, as well as Tuscaloosa Avenue, which we've operated online now for utility costs. Services there include our peace and policy team. Also note, if you can turn to page 42 and page 43. Page 42 and 43 speaks to our city's debt services. Debt services, actually it's on page 44 as well. It's a total of $19.4 million. This $19.4 million represents about 5% of the city's budget. I want everybody to know none of that is new. I'm defining new as in that is not new debt that this administration has taken on. This $19.4 million is in the rears that was already here prior to this administration starting. But by law and obligation, paying our debt services and our warrant issues, we're required to pay it. If you turn to page 41 and 42, you have redevelopment infrastructure incentives. That is a total of $7.3 million. Only $775,000 of this has been since our administration. And so we're still in the rears of paying prior $6+ million and paying back prior redevelopment infrastructure incentives. Madam President, if you bear with me, there are two more issues I want to speak to you about. The Birmingham Promise. If you can turn to page 38, you see under education, there's a line for the Board of Education and the Birmingham Promise. And so in the past, what we've had, prior administrations, they line item what was given to the school board. And then the prior administration, within that 7 years, I guess the last couple of years of their administration, they shifted to pretty much just a blank check at a certain amount, gave it to the school system, allowed them to do what they pleased with that money, as long as they reported to this council, which I understand they're going to report to you all tomorrow. But I think for us as an administration, and you all know my background as an advocate and champion for investing in our children, what we want to do in collection with this council, and believe it or not, after talking with the superintendent and the school board, and collection with them as well, is have a direct impact on students. And we want to make sure that the dollars we use from the city have a direct impact on students. And so you see here, instead of prior giving them just $3 million, this year we are shifting to $2 million to the Birmingham Promise and $1 million towards the school system. That $1 million will remain the way it is, as far as allowing them to tell us how they want to use it. The $2 million with the Birmingham Promise, we've spoken to this, and I want to speak to it again. We have a situation, and it happens a lot. Young person in Birmingham City School walks across the stage. You had a young lady probably 2-3 years ago had a 4.0 valedictorian of her high school, but she made less than a 17 on the ACT. But let's say she made an 18 on the ACT. She got into a public 2-year or 4-year college or university in the state of Alabama. And if she comes from the zip code 35212 is likely 35212, it's likely that she probably can't afford, or her parents or her home can't afford that tuition, even if she got in. Even if she got a Pell Grant, it wouldn't be enough to cover what she needed to be covered. And so what we want to do is make sure any high school student that walks across the stage of Birmingham City Schools don't have to face what that young person I described faced 2-3 years ago. That they can have an opportunity that will be supported with post-secondary opportunities. In addition to that, speaking with you all, speaking with the school board, speaking to the superintendent, speaking to employers in the city, speaking to the Birmingham Business Alliance, and speaking to everybody else in the space of dealing with workforce, it is past time as a city we commit to workforce development. In the first place and the best place to start is our youngest generation. And so to every young person that is a junior and a senior in Birmingham City Schools, whether they are on the Career Technical Education track, CTE, dual enrollment, co-op, career academy, or none of the above, we want to create, and this is based on our fact-finding trip you and I went to, Councilor Hilliard, the best robust apprenticeship program in the state of Alabama, I dare say in the Southeast. That if you are a Birmingham student that's a junior and senior, we will provide an apprenticeship for you, working with our employer clusters, making sure they agree to pay half of that young person's salary, and the city of Birmingham will pay half of that young person's salary. But this is something that we're talking about where young people can make $15 an hour, get the credit they need from the high school, and get the apprenticeship opportunity they need to be trained. We believe this is legacy for this entire city. We want this to exist well past this administration and this council, and this is a start and an investment of this $2 million into that. The last thing I want to talk about is directly related to this council. We've had many retreats. You all have shared with me your priorities. Each of you all, as a matter of fact, have detailed to me your top 3 priorities in each of your districts. And after listening to you, after talking with my team going back, I made it very clear. In an ideal world, we could address all 3 priorities for each city councilor. And we could find monies to reflect in this new budget that we're listening to you and want to invest in those priorities. And if we can't find all 3, if we can't financially find all 3, at a minimum you have to do 1. Best of worlds, it would be cool to get to 2. And so in District 1, Councilor, you spoke of greater police presence, you spoke of economic development, you spoke of paving. Well, in economic development, and this is not just to you, this is to the other councilors who spoke of economic development. I believe Councilor Parker spoke to economic development as it related to the Caraway site. I believe Councilor Hoyt spoke to economic development as it related to his entire district. We're putting an additional $1 million separate from the Boulder Fund. So last year we introduced the Boulder Fund to hold people who received economic tax dollars accountable, transparent process. We can track and measure how they spent that money and make sure there was a benefit in return to the city. We're going to continue to do that in this hand, but separately in this hand, and listening to you, we thought it was important to increase our economic incentive dollars. And so you saw on this board earlier that we currently have an output of $7.3 million. And in 17 months we've been here, we've only our portion of that has only been $775,000. But what we believe, actually you had economic development interest as well. Let me not forget District 7. Development of retail space, I got you. This $1 million supports the requests of the councilors as it relates to making sure we're intentional. If we land some economic development, we have enough incentive dollars using a smart way, not in an irresponsible way, but to make sure we can land economic development in this city. Councilor Woods, you mentioned paving. Councilor Williams, you mentioned paving as a priority. Councilor Parker, you mentioned paving as a priority. Councilor Smitherman mentioned paving as a priority. Ms. Alexander, you mentioned paving as a priority. And that is why you see it reflected an increase. I'm not sure where that slide was, but that was a drastic increase in paving. The only disappointment I've had so far in this budget is that I couldn't get the $10 million. I wanted 10. but the pension said no. So we got to 8. Counselor Williams, you mentioned bank school, and you mentioned public works, a recycling program. I want to speak to that. Of course, you know we have a RFP process out, and we're working hard with banks. But we looked at banks as 2 options. Engage in redevelopment of it, or make sure it's not an eyesore in the form of removing it. And so we're working on option A, but we've increased our demolition monies if that doesn't work. District 4, Councilor Williams, Councilor Parker, you talked about demolition as well. We've increased funding for demolition. I think there were at least there was at least one other councilor that mentioned demolition. And so you've seen our increase by $1.5 million in demolition as well. Councilor O'Quinn, you spoke to Smithfield Community Revitalization Plan. That plan at this point doesn't require monies. You spoke to an update on the Tier Homeless Plan. That plan doesn't necessarily require monies right now. In Crestwood Quiet Zone, we're still having conversations with PEP about matching funding and seeing how that works out. Councilor Smitherman, in her absence, we again talked about street paving, lights, and parks. I'm happy to say, under the park board, working with Alabama Power in partnership, we're working to increase the lighting in District 6 and some additional things for parks. District 7, we spoke to the South Park projects, paving and sidewalks and the development. Of course, in this budget, it reflects that. And Councilor Hoyt, additional funding for BRT, as well as economic development, sir. And then District 9, Councilor Hilliard, we spoke to the Ramsey McCormick, which you and I, we had a great conversation last week with some business owners and stakeholders and neighborhood leaders in that area last week. Wallen Library, which we're pleased to see, is we kickstarted 2 weeks ago, and One Pratt Park will be open this year. Once that park opens, that'll probably be a minimum on the low end of $300,000 in operating expenses, which we've included in this budget. So how do we get to the additional $50,000 increase for each of you? If you all could turn to page 36, you see under Appropriations Code entitled Non-Departmental, Council Projects Districts 1 through Council Projects District 9. You see last year, everyone was hovering right at 50,000. And this year, that is 100,000. So that's a 50,000 increase in discretionary monies. I want to tell you where that came from and why we made this choice. In our mind, this is a new council. 6 out of 9 people are new. But for the 3 veterans, I understand you all don't like to play politics and or hold the general fund budget, which is almost $500 million hostage over special projects or certain individual nonprofits, individual councils you want to support with $15,000 here, $20,000 here, $5,000 here, $25,000 here. So we thought it was important, as you see on page 40 and 41, you see a lot of zeros, but as you also see, a lot of these projects are 10,000, 20,000, 15,000, some 50,000. Councilor Hort, I want to publicly tell you, we still support Party with a Purpose. But but you see a zero here, and here's why. Councilor Alexander wanted to copy your idea, which is a great idea. She would want 50,000 from the general fund. If Darrell O'Quinn wanted to copy your Party with a Purpose, which we think is an amazing event, he would want 50,000. Each of you wanted 50,000, separate from your discretionary fund, separate from your individual projects. That would be 450,000. And so instead of doing that as a line item, we decided to increase your discretionary funding. Councilor Woods, District 1 is an example where you see Springville Road Library Resource. You see East Pinson Valley Rec Center. You see GPS. And you see a couple other individual items, 15,000 here, 10,000 here. Instead of doing that, what we wanted to do, if each councilor asks for these individual items, we wanted to give you Here's $50,000 additional discretionary money. You have a total of $100,000. You invest in the organizations you feel pleased to support, you feel empowered to support. The idea is for each counselor, you should be empowered to support whether it's a nonprofit or an agency in your district without necessarily putting those line items in the general fund budget and or using that as a negotiating tool. We wanted to elevate the conversation. And so in that regards, I want to publicly say we are not in a position to do both. We've cut departments so lean, any additional cutting, they would be close to anorexic. In addition to that, we feel this increase in discretionary money allows you the power to do what you need to support the individual organizations you want in your districts or citywide. And so in that regards, we think this is an extreme olive branch to this council with focusing on your priorities that you've outlined, and we put money in the budget, with focusing on the increasing the $50,000 in discretionary money. In addition to that, separate pot of money you have for your professional services and your consulting fees to hire however many lawyers and lobbyists you want. We believe this is a good budget, and the priorities haven't shifted, as you can see, with $14+ million towards neighborhood revitalization. I look forward to discussing and continuing to discuss this proposed budget with this council. And Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We appreciate your presentation. And we have item number 1 to set our public hearing. Mr. Clerk, is this the appropriate time for us to do that?
Yes, ma'am. Are we set on that?
Oh, I see Councilor Williams' name has popped up to ask the mayor a question. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Smith, and all of your staff with the Department of Finance. I know that, Lester, this is your first budget, so welcome to Birmingham. But there was a lot of due diligence that you guys have put into this budget that I might not have seen that level of due diligence and communication with the council in the past, and I really appreciate that. I think this body as a whole, I'm sure, appreciates that. I know that you've gone through and looked at our priorities and also made a lot of tough decisions in terms of filling the delta with funding the pension board. I know it's not something that is, it's not a sexy way to spend money, but it's something that we have to do if we're going to be able to responsibly borrow money again on behalf of the citizens of Birmingham. So thank you both for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have no names. Oh, okay. Well, we don't have any more questions on this, but we do have item 1. And I too, Mr. Mayor, want to say that I appreciate the amount of work that's been put in on this budget, having attended a lot of those departmental request sessions. I know that y'all had to really make some tough decisions, and I appreciate it. And I know the pension plan is something that we can't kick the can down the road anymore, since the rating agencies have us in the bullseye now, and they've already downgraded our credit, and we don't want that to happen a second time. So I know that y'all have sweated a lot over this budget, and I appreciate it. I can already see some questions I have, but of course that's what the process is all about. So thank you. Now,
Thank you.
Item 1.
Okay. Item 1, a resolution setting a public hearing on Thursday, June the 6th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. in the council chambers on the mayor's proposed budget. Need a motion?
Madam President, can I speak to that?
Need a motion,
We need a
please.
motion first. Do we have a motion?
Louder. All right, but I want to speak
Okay, we
to
have
that.
a motion from Dr. O'Quinn and a second from Mr. Hilliard.
Yeah,
And
hold
now
on.
President Pro Tem Parker wishes to speak regarding
Yes, ma'am. I
that.
wanted, before we even bring this up, if we could table this That is the same night as the public hearing in District 8, and I would want to make sure that we're all there in support of the mayor and the Councilor Hoyt, and also the community from the Five Points West community. So could we table this item and come up with a different date?
Yes, I think that would be
Okay.
appropriate, because we do want everyone to be present. We have 7 days in a week that we can have this hearing, so,
We can just come back next Tuesday maybe and just check with
so
everybody.
you don't want to table it, you want to actually defer it a week?
If you could, yeah, you could just carry it over, move it, yeah, you want to just withdraw?
So you want a
it?
1-week delay on the setting of the public hearing date?
Right, second.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have that motion from Council President Pro Tem
So you
Parker, and we
second,
have
okay.
we have a second from Mr. Hilliard. Oh, Mr. Woods, I'm sorry.
Come back with a different date. We'll come back with a different date.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll do that because we have lots of schedules to balance. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Madam President, just one note. I failed to mention this to the public. The proposed budget is now online at birminghamal.gov.
Yeah, and I will say to the public that the purpose of the public hearing is for you to look at that budget online and make comments regarding your opinions about that budget. So when we have the public hearing, residents will be able to come and say what they like and say what they don't like. So that is what it's for, but we have deferred that for, we need to vote though on deferral.
Voting should be. How would you like to vote on it?
Yes.
Are you down too, Council? Okay, we'll get that straight now. That vote should be up for 1 week.
Okay, that item passes for a 1-week delay in the setting of the public hearing date. So, now for our consent agenda, Mr. Clerk.
All right, consent agenda starts on page 2 with items 2, 3, and 4. Page 3, we have items 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 on consent. Page 4, we have items 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 on consent. Page 5, we have items 15 and 16 on consent. Page 16, we have items 17, 18, and 19 on consent. Page 17, we have items 20, 21, and 22 on consent. Page 18, items 23 and 24 are on consent. Page 19, items 27 and 28 are on consent. Page 20, items 29, 30, and 31 are on consent. Page 21, items 32, 33, and 34 are on consent. Please note that items 32 and 33 were recommended by Budget and Finance. Page 22, we have items 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39 on consent. Items 36 through 39 were recommended by Budget and Finance. That's 36 through 39. Page 23, we have items 40, 41, 42, and 43 on consent. Items 40 through 43 were recommended by Budget and Finance. Page 24, items 44, 45, 46, 47, and 48 are on consent. All items were recommended by Budget and Finance. Page 25, items 49, 50, 51, 52, and 53 are on consent. And same here, all items were recommended by Budget and Finance. Page 26, we have items 54, 55, and 57 on consent. Page 27, items 58, 59, 60, and 61 are on consent. Page 28, items 62, 63, 64, 65, and 66 are on consent. Page 29, items 67, 68, 69, 70, and 71 are on consent. Page 30, items 72, 73, and 74 are on consent. Page 31, items 75, 76 and 77 are on consent. Page 32, we have items 78, 79, and 80 on consent. Page 33, items 81 and 82 are on consent. Page 34, items 84, 85, and 86 are on consent. Page 35, items 87, 88, 89, and 90 are on consent. Page 36, items 91, 92, 93, and 94 are on consent. Page 37, items 95, 96, 97, and 98 are on consent. On page 38, we have items 99, 100, and 101 on consent, and that concludes our consent agenda.
Okay, Dr. O'Quinn.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to remove items 71 through 74 from the consent agenda.
Can you repeat
Okay.
that again, Councilor?
Items 71 through 74.
Pages 29 and 30. Okay, those items are removed from consent. Anything else? Okay,
Madam President.
Councilor Williams?
Thank you, Madam President. I know that item 25 and 26 are both public hearings. We do have some public hearings that are consented. Are we allowed to, Mr. Clerk, add items 25 and 26 to our consent agenda if
Yes.
Madam President reads out her little
Yes, ma'am. I mean, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
excerpt?
If
All right, great. And then item 83, please. Okay, Parker. Parker.
Okay, so item 83 is added to consent. It's on page 33. Is there anything else?
There's one item, but I'll let,
Madam President,
I think it was item 56,
Item 56.
which is on page 26.
Page 26, item 56. Mr. Parker, you're good with that? Yes, ma'am. Okay. So item 56 is added on page 26. Was that all?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Hoyt, did you have item?
Yes, this is for unanimous consent, and this is a resolution initiating an amendment to the official zoning map to rezone the property located at 3240 and 3250 Fayette Avenue, Birmingham, Alabama, from, I guess this is 1-2 heavy industrial to MU and mixed-use high.
Mr. Clerk, is this the appropriate time to,
not right now.
okay.
Okay.
When we finish with the consent or the agenda itself,
Okay.
either one.
Okay. Well, I just read it in the
number
record
again?
then. That's okay.
Is it all consent? Right. Right. What's wrong? Madam President, I have one correction.
That's good because it's about to drive me to distraction.
Spring Lake. Item 32.
Item
1, 2,
32.
3, fourth line down. That should be Spring Lake, not East Lake.
Okay, item 32.
Item 32. Fourth line from the top should be Spring Lake instead of East Lake. And also items 54 and 55 were recommended by Budget and Finance. Items 54 and 55 on page 26.
Thank you. I want to read this disclaimer before we move ahead with our vote. All items designated as consent are considered to be routine and non-controversial and will be approved in one motion. No separate discussion of these items will be permitted unless a council member, the mayor or a citizen interested in a public hearing so requests, and if so, such item will revert to its normal place on the agenda order of business. All matters of permanent operation will be read. All other matters will be announced by reading the item number only. All public hearings will be announced. So if anyone in the audience has any issues with any of the items we placed on consent, now would be the time to let us know before we vote. Seeing no one, we are ready to vote on the consent agenda.
Are we going to consider this item?
Not at this
Counselor,
time.
it takes a different vote
Okay.
process. That's why
Okay.
we couldn't place it on consent.
Okay, very good. Okay, go ahead.
Motion on it.
Oh, we need a motion on the consent. Counselor Williams and President Pro Tem Parker.
Okay. Voting should be open. Are you still down? Okay, thank you. That vote should be up, Madam President.
So that item passes. First item.
Let's see.
Yeah, Madam President,
Counselor Hoyt.
yes, I would like to move for unanimous consent for a resolution to initiate an amendment to the official zoning map to rezone the property located at 3240 and 3250 Fayette Avenue, Birmingham, Alabama 35208, from 1-2 heavy industrial to MUH and mixed use high.
This is the UC item, isn't it?
Right.
This is not the appropriate time. The clerk will,
If he obtains the floor and then you allow him, it's up. Nothing's on the floor right now. So. But it's up to you to move.
okay,
if
I
you wanna
thought we
move
had to wait till the end after
Well, it's
we
up to you.
conducted our business.
Well, I
Well, it's
would
up to
hope
you.
not, because I have to leave to go to work, so if you could. we can
Oh, you're
entertain.
leaving. Okay.
So, may I ask a question about that? Is this to set the
up
public
to you.
hearing? That-
Well, it's to initiate an amendment to the official zoning for that particular property.
Does everybody have a copy? We need to,
This, yeah, this,
okay, this is the, it looks
right, it would still have to go through zoning, the zoning committee and all of that. But this is just to start the process, and so we can begin to have discussions around amending the zoning for this particular property.
I guess we need to all have UC to put this on the floor to discuss.
Yes.
All right.
Motion.
Move the item.
Second.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilliard.
Aye.
Councilmember Hoyt.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Quinn.
Yes.
Council President Pro Tem Parker.
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
All right.
Councilmember Woods.
Yes.
President Abbott.
yes.
Okay, the item is, now I need a motion on the item.
Okay,
Accept,
now move the
discuss.
item.
Second.
Okay, the item is before you.
Okay, do we have any speakers regarding this item? Counselor Williams?
Thank you, Madam President. Mine are more questions than comments. So, and Councilor Hoyt, I'm happy to support you on this. I know that this, I believe this is the specific property that is Sherman. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So obviously, I'm in favor of doing whatever I can to support you on this. But can you explain to me what? So this is not setting a public hearing, or is it setting a public hearing?
This is to look at our zoning, as we often do, with respect to our legislative responsibility of the city.
So I guess my question then is, why are we doing it differently now?
We're not doing it, that we're amending the existing zoning for that particular property. You know, to amend means to change.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the word amend, but I don't understand why we're not going through the public hearing and all that is typically done.
It would require us, if there's an amendment, to have a public hearing at some point. This is to start the process. And I think it's important that this council, as you all have already shown, District 8, that you support us, in District 7, because and District 9 is contiguous to this area, as well as District 5. So I would hope that we would not delay this, and so we can go ahead and address this. You know, it's about our health. It's about our quality of life. You know, and I've seen more questions on stuff that didn't matter. And here we're talking about people's lives and being exposed to pollutants, and we got questions. You know, Councilman, I think at this point, I think the citizen, and quite frankly, our supporters come from all over the city, quite frankly, and I want to thank all of those citizens. But if we're going to sit here and debate about something we ought to do as legislators, we already know that this is about environmental racism. And I don't need a counselor questioning what we are doing and what the citizens said that they want to happen with this property. I just don't see that.
Okay, may I ask a question to the Office of the City Attorney? My understanding is that we would have to set a public hearing by law. My question isn't about the emotions of it, it's about the legality of it. Do we have to set a public hearing for this by law?
I will have Attorney Julie Bernard come forward and speak on the matter.
Good morning, councilors. Julie Bernard with Office of the City Attorney. Did not see the final resolution that was submitted, but I believe this is what was discussed. All this resolution is doing is initiating the rezoning application. Under the zoning ordinance, it provides that an application to amend the official zoning map may be initiated by the council, the commission, the CA, which means the planning commission, the zoning advisory committee, or by an agent authorized by the property owner and owner of property proposed to be rezoned. Each application will be investigated by the department and reports submitted thereon, but not limited to conclusions related to comprehensive plan and a recommendation. And then in the second whereas clause on the resolution, it says that the applicant must file an application for hearing. So what this is doing is the council authorizing council staff to initiate a rezoning application, which would go through the normal process of review by committees and then ultimately a public hearing before the council.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bernard, and thank you, Councilor Hoyt, for bringing this to us. That's all, Madam President.
Move the item.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's already been moved and seconded. We have Dr. O'Quinn.
Attorney Bernard just made the point that I was going to make, so I'm good.
Okay. And I have a question regarding this. Says, whereas the council of the city of Birmingham desires to rezone these properties, and I don't think at this point, since this hasn't been to committee and we've barely had time to read this, I mean, we don't know if we desire to rezone these properties or not. And my concern, just with even saying this, is that I fear that this would be considered to be a taking of someone's property, and that we would just be getting ourselves into legal trouble by saying at this point, without any information, that we desire to rezone someone's property. So I would like to see if we're going to pass this, that we reword this and say that we're going to consider rezoning or something to that effect, because at this point I don't know whether I think this is a good idea or not. It might be, but it might not.
Madam President, you know, I'm really amazed by your comments. I think you've done enough in this city to bring shame on this city with Major League Baseball, and now we're talking about life and death situations in my district, and you up here for debate. If it goes through a legal process, then that's what they have a right to do that, as any other business or any other home or any other property owner. Now, we're not going to get into to that. What we want, and we don't need to change the language. The language says a resolution to initiate. That means it goes through the process. We're not abating the process. There are processes, and you are fully aware, because you've chaired this committee before. You understand very well how we are to approach this. And so I'm not inclined to change the language. The language needs to stay the same. And we'll, and staff, and at an appropriate time, we will set a hearing. But this is the start of the process. And listen, everything we do now would perhaps help us before the hearing is held. Now, this council said unanimously, you support us. We voted on that 3 weeks ago. And so we don't need to change midstream. This train has left the station, and we need to see it through. Now, that's what needs to happen.
Yes, and Mr. Hoyt, I am supportive. My
Well,
concern
it don't
is
sound like it.
no, my concern is that we
You
are
know?
saying that we've already made up our minds.
We
In
listen, we
this
have not made up our
resolution.
mind. It says to initiate.
No, it
Point of
says, let me
information.
just read,
Point
let me,
of
what the
information.
whole,
Point
I
of
want to read
information.
you what
Point
it
of
says.
information.
Council Parker, what is your point of information?
I think
It is appropriate for the president to ask him what his point of information is. It's not a slight. Well, what this says is, whereas the council of the city of Birmingham desires to rezone properties located at 3240 and 3250 Fayette Avenue, and it continues. So that's my only objection. The initiating part is fine. It's that we are saying that we have already made up our minds by wanting to rezone the properties. It seems to
Does
me
not.
we should say that we will consider.
It does not.
Well,
It does not. It says to initiate. There's nothing concrete about that other than the fact that we will start a process, and they are processes, and we have to follow that by law. You know, we're not above the law, but now we are the law as it relates to the legislators for this council, and we have the right as a city and a city government to change our zoning. If not, then what are we doing? The comprehensive plan? That's changing.
okay, so you don't have a
This is-
problem
this
with
is-
changing this if the top paragraph is all that matters, then
Madam President, I'm
why
not
is-
changing anything on this thing here today. You know, and you can vote however you want to vote. But I would ask that we summarily support this, because I don't want those persons involved to ever think that we as a city are not concerned about neighborhoods in other locations around this city. That's what I don't want. I mean, when forgive me, Councilor Parker, but when President Maxine Parker had her issue in North Birmingham, I championed with her to make those changes, and as a matter of fact, I convened a meeting with U.S. Steel, Myla Choi, E.B. McLean at that particular time, and we had a meeting in a big old hangar up there with the council. You were there, and what have you, and because it was a pressing issue. People are dying. People are still dying. And this is, I mean, we're debating about quality of life. Come on, Counselor. That's why we got all these staff. The mayor paid these folk well to look out for the interests of this city. And so that's not, you're not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I got a wife, just one, thank God.
and that's excellent.
But I'm just saying we need to move with this, Madam President. And I don't need shenanigans. I just need transparency. And so let's move with this, and then we'll work out whatever we got to work out because I'm here to tell you, Miss Attorney, what is it, Chief Attorney King ain't not gonna play. You know, when it comes to following the law, and Smiley, either deputy chief, they're not gonna play.
Thank you,
And
Councilor
they're gonna
Hoyt.
always keep us straight.
Thank you. Councilor Woods?
I got confidence in them.
Councilor Woods?
Thank you, Madam President. I think we're okay with this. I think basically this is just initiating an application, and then we'll move through the zoning process from that point. So I don't think your concern is going to cause any issues going forward. So I do think we should move forward with this. But it also may be a good time to look around the city as a whole and see if there are any other areas where we don't want to see heavy industrial development going forward in the future, to kind of get ahead of this issue. You know, and then in the case that, you know, someone decides to change it back, we can, but it has to come back before us, and we won't be blindsided in the way that the Sherman Industries issue has happened. But I think we should go ahead and move forward with this. This will go through the typical process, and if there are any issues down the road, it'll be vetted. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yes.
Councilor Woods. And the comprehensive plan is where we make those changes, and that's what we are undergoing right now. Councilor Alexander?
Thank you, Madam President. I feel that we do not need to change this wording. If you look at initiate, it means to begin a process. We are not stating anywhere this morning in what direction we want to go. I think it's very evident to everyone in District 8, and I support you, Counselor.
Thank you.
And I feel that this is our right and our obligation as members of this council to initiate this type of a process. We will sit and we will debate. We will have legal counsel, but we have to start somewhere. And if we don't look at these issues in our neighborhoods, it will continue. This ship has sailed, and we are going, and we should move forward. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilor Hilliard?
Thank you, Madam President. I, too, support this issue, and I think it's a beginning of what we should always do is vet, initiate, and then do some talking and debating on it. So, Councilman, I support you 100%. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Hoyt?
Yes, Madam President, because I am amenable to our council. She has suggested some compromise language that I'm going to put forth, and it is, this is the last whereas, okay? It sounds funny. But it says, whereas the council of the city of Birmingham desires to consider the rezoning of the property located at 3240 and 3250 Fayette Avenue. That would be the change.
Councilor Hoyt, that is exactly what I said to you the first time.
Well, that's what the attorney said. You're not an attorney. You're
I
not
know
an attorney.
I'm not an attorney, but it seemed so simple at the time. And I am in support of you, and with this change, I will vote
Like
for
all
it.
the obstructionists that happens.
It is not obstruction, it is simply a difference of opinion that Nicole King happens to have agreed with. But I thank you.
Well, I trust.
And I love
Nicole-
you,
Nicole-
Councilor Hoyt.
I love you too.
You don't sound like
I
it,
love
but
you
I
when
do.
nobody's looking.
Okay.
All right, I'd like to call for the vote
Watch
with the
that one.
changes that have
Okay,
been said, so we don't talk about it anymore.
We have a motion, we have a second, and we have no more speakers, so we are ready to vote.
Do we,
As
Mr.
amended
Clerk,
by
the
Mr.
changes
Boyd.
or whatever?
We need to,
If there are any issues with the changes, if no one has any issues, we don't need this.
No issue.
Okay, we're good. Did you get the language for that, at least on the last word?
let me just read it, if that's okay, Mr. Clerk.
Yes, ma'am. Mhm.
Whereas the council of the city of Birmingham desires to consider the rezoning of properties located at 3240 and 3250 Fayette Avenue, and then the rest of it is the same. So it's just to consider the rezoning of.
Okay.
Well, and let me say this, it was already here on the paper. It says desire. So the language really hadn't changed other than the fact of the rezoning.
Yeah, consider the rezoning of properties
desire
located.
was already written here, so I want y'all to be clear that we have competent folk that work for the city council, and they had already covered that. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready to vote, Mr. Clerk.
Y'all got me putting on 2 pair of glasses. Jeez.
All right, that vote should be up.
That item passes. Next item.
I think we're going to 71. Am I correct? Yeah, I think 71 is the first item.
And Madam President,
Mr. Clerk, we have had a request to suspend the rules to hear our presentations because we have some children in the audience who need to go back to school. And I don't know which. We have a whole list of presentations, so we're going to take the ones with children and get them back to class so that we can move ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Motion to suspend the rules for the speakers.
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
So, which of these, we have 6 presentations, which presentation is the children? Because all this says is the kids need to go back to school.
Madam President,
Does anybody know, which group are you with? PAT, okay, PAT, Sergeant Venus Wynn, coordinator of the Birmingham Police Department Police Athletic Team. So if all the people here for the Police Athletic Team.
Madam President, and while they're coming, can I ask all the folk who were here on behalf of the resolution, would you stand, please? Because I just want you to understand that I'm not alone and that these folk here support what we're doing, and I want to thank the council again for your support. So look and see all these folk who are here on behalf of what we're trying to do. And thank you, Councilor.
Thank you.
And President Fotier.
So if all the PAT students and their supporters will come forth, the supporters can stand behind your team members. Y'all look so grown up, I couldn't see you back there.
Good morning, counselors. Thank you all for having us this morning to come before you and present our children to you. This is Birmingham Police Athletic Team, myself, and there's 5 officers that act as coordinators to our sports program. We have Officer Vildeville on the end there. We also have Officer Preston present, Officer Phillips, and Officer Smith that are present with us today. Officer Fikes, he's sick, unfortunately. But this group right here, we have our 12U group that is here, 12 and under basketball team. We also have our 17 and under basketball team. Our 14U, who also traveled with us, they have testing today, so they're not here. But I do want to give you a little history about the Police Athletic Team. They started in 1969, and in 1970 they were incorporated. As of today, when we've completed our basketball program for 2019, we had a total of 15 volunteer coaches for our basketball clinic. And then we turned around and had 52 volunteer coaches for our overall basketball season. We had 357 players and 37 teams that participated in our basketball program. We're now currently and about to finish our baseball-softball season, which now consists of 46 12 and under baseball-softball teams, and also 10 of our 17 and under baseball-softball teams. We're also into our volleyball. We're doing 6 weeks of volleyball, and for our 7 to 12 years, 12th grade, and then we're going into 6 weeks of our 2nd grade to 6th grade with volleyball. And right now we presently have 76 volleyball players for our 7th to 12th grade kids that are currently in our program. So as you can see, with the support of you all, we're able to reach a lot of our children to keep them off the street, to give them something positive. And we thank you so very much. We thank our volunteer coaches. There are some of here tonight. We thank our parents for also allowing us to work with their children. This helps to bridge the gap between the police officers and our kids, because so oftentimes our children only see the police officers in a negative light, because nobody's knocking on the police officer's door and inviting us to dinner. Normally when we come to their homes, they see us in a negative. We're taking someone into jail, or we're having to intervene in some conflict that they're having. But being able to work with our young people with the sports, it gives us opportunities for them to see us in a different light. And we so graciously thank you for all of your support, and we hope that you continue to support us. Right now, on my right, some of our 12 and U teams, they went to Georgia and participated in the Georgia Hoops Invitational basketball tournament, and they won the championship in their division. On this side, this is our 17U basketball team, and they won runner-up for their 17U division. Our 14U, they also won runner-up in their division. This is the first time our kids participated in this particular tournament. And because our 14U did so great, they were also invited to participate in the Junior NBA tournament, which is going to be, the regional is going to be hosted in June of this year, June the 14th through the 16th. So we're very excited to be able to take our young people to Georgia, participate in another competition. And if they win that competition, they'll be able to go to the global tournament in New Orleans, and the NBA will pay for all of that. So I would like at this time if our players can come up and introduce themselves and tell you their name and what schools they attend.
My name is Amacia Cliggett. I attend Huffman High School.
My name is Byron Austin. I attend Huffman High School.
My name is DeQuarian Easy, and I attend Huffman High School.
My name is Quindarius Miller, and I attend Huffman High School.
My name is Trindarius Ramsey, and I attend Huffman High School.
My name is Jadarius Lee, and I attend Huffman High School.
I'm actually the coach. I know everyone thought I was a player because I was one. But I actually coach these guys, and it's been a pleasure working with them this season. We've had a lot of ups and downs, but through it all, you know, we came out on top. And my name is Jacory Thornton, and I work at the Boys and Girls Club.
My name is Caleb Didell, and I attend Minor Middle School.
And you have all the trophies.
My name is Clarence Taylor, and I attend Bryan Middle School.
My name is Derek Hill, and I attend Wallam K-8.
My name is Xavier Bell. I go to Bryan Middle School.
My name is Aaron Tiff, and I attend Pleasant Grove High School.
My name is Levilas Pullis. I attend North Highlands Elementary.
I'm Marcello Perkins, head coach of the Birmingham Bears. Let's go Bears.
Ms. Wynn, tell us again how many total students are participating in the police athletic teams. How many total students or young people are participating in the police athletic teams?
Okay, with our basketball, we had 357. And right now with our baseball, softball, we have an average of 46 teams. That's 15 players per team, and all of them have 15 for our 12 and under, as well as our 17 and under. So we have a total of 56 teams, for our baseball, softball. And if you multiply that by 15, that's how many players we have for that. And right now with volleyball, 7th grade through 12th grade, we have 76. And our 6th and 2nd to 6th grade, they don't start until June. So we don't have a full count of that. But right now we have 25 of them registered for our volleyball. So we have over, I would say over 1,400 students that have participated or signed up to participate with us.
That's great. Thank you. Councilor Hilliard.
Wow, thank you, Madam President. You know, so much. I look at you young men and you look awesome. You're just an awesome group of young men. The future is so bright for you. I mean, there is so many opportunities, so many places you can go. Your minds are very powerful. Use that tool. I tell you, like I tell my grandson every morning I look at him, I say, you're awesome, you're smart, you're brilliant, and you are fast. I say that to each and every one of you. If you believe that you can achieve, if you believe that you can make it, if you believe there's nothing in the world that can stop you, God has put everything you need right in the front of you. All you have to do is access it and use it. And remember this, your body is a temple. Your body is a temple, and you must protect it at all times. You must protect the music that goes in it. You must protect the food that you eat. You must be aware of things that will contaminate your mind and addict you and make you an addict or used to anything. So beware, protect your temple, protect your mind, and protect your body. I want to say to the officers, you are awesome. I look at Venus here, I say that because Venus and I, we graduated from high school together. And I will say we had an awesome class. And I would only tell you this. I'm not surprised that you're doing what you do. You were awesome in school. She was our top cheerleader at Parker High School, a great public school where we attended. And she's now heading up our class reunion picnic that texts and calls me all the time. But I appreciate what you do. I appreciate the fact that you've treated all of these children just like your family. That is awesome. And to the other supporting officers that I see standing behind you, you are the backbone of our community. I think that you don't get the credit that you deserve for what you do. There's no amount of money, no amount of anything that could really pay you for what you do, and you're supportive. See, away from home, you're still fathers. You're still mothers. You're still mentors. And I appreciate from the bottom of my heart everything that you have achieved, you have done. Continue to support. And to you, young man, my grandson is only 6 years old. You are the next level. Maybe someday one of you may be mentoring him. I am counting on you to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Hilliard. Dr. O'Quinn?
Yes, I just wanted to ask Sergeant Wynn, I'm sure all of this programming requires some financial support, and I just wanted to ask from you, how do you guys pay for all of the equipment and resources and all the other expenses associated with PAT?
This city has been giving us funds to support our program, but also our coaches. Some of them use their own funds also to support the children. They are the ones that pick kids up. They help buy gloves. They help buy uniforms. The parents. It's just a partnership effort from the city, the coaches, and the parents to get the job done.
Okay, thank you. So part of the reason why I asked that is I actually had a conversation with our local firefighters union, and they were, mentioning fundraising. And Mayor Woodfin, if I recall correctly, the state attorney general, we had asked a question about city-supported fundraising. And if I recall correctly, the state attorney general issued an opinion on that question. Can you help me recall exactly what his position was on that issue?
That if declared a public purpose, I think this council can support such an agency. If I understand that correctly.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for everything that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Well, Sergeant, thank you for bringing your young people, and we are so thrilled with what you, not just because you're great athletes, but because you're participating in life. There's a lot of kids who just go home and watch television all afternoon. and they don't have the experiences that you're having. You're having experiences that when you get to be as old as I am, you'll remember those experiences, and it'll put a smile on your face to think, well, I may not be able to do that anymore, but I could do it back then. So we're just happy to see all of you, and thank you, Sergeant.
Thank you.
Let's give him a big hand. Are any of our UAB students who are here missing classes because you're here? Yeah, we don't want anybody to miss any classes. Okay, well, I do not see any affirmatives there or anyone who cares if they're missing class, so we're going to move ahead with our agenda. We still have a quorum here. So, Mr. Clerk, I think our next item is 71. That's where we left off. And if you could call up 71, 72, 73, and 74, they seem to all be related to one another.
Item 71, a resolution authorizing the Director of Planning, Engineering, and Permits to issue a condemnation repair permit to Wilbert Wilson, the owner or agent of the property located at 210 Graymont Avenue North, Birmingham, which was condemned by the council April the 23rd, 2002, in order to remove the weeds and trash from the premises within 10 days of permit issuance and to commence and make substantial repairs within 30 days of permit issuance for 4 permits being voided due to lack of substantial repairs. Item 72, a resolution authorizing the Director of Planning, Engineering, and Permits to issue a condemnation repair permit to Wilbert Wilson, the owner or agent of the property located at 214 Graymont Avenue North, Birmingham, which was condemned by the council April the 23rd, 2002, to remove the weeds and the trash from the premises within 10 days of permit issuance, and to commence and make substantial repairs within 30 days of permit issuance. 4 permits being voided due to lack of substantial repairs. And item 73, a resolution authorizing the Director of Planning, Engineering, and Permits to issue a condemnation repair permit to Wilbert Wilson, the owner or agent of property located at 119 9th Avenue West, Birmingham, which was condemned by the council December the 7th, 2005, in order to remove the weeds and the trash from the premises within 10 days of permit issuance and to commence and make substantial repairs within 30 days of permit issuance. 4 permits having been voided due to the lack of substantial repairs. Item 74, a resolution authorizing the Director of Planning, Engineering, and Permits to issue a condemnation repair permit to Wilbert Wilson, the owner or agent of the property located at 204 Graymont Avenue North, Birmingham, which was condemned by the council December the 1st, 2015, in order to remove the weeds and the trash from the premises within 10 days of permit issuance and to commence and make substantial repairs within 30 days of permit issuance. 1 permit being voided due to the lack of substantial repairs.
Thank you. Councilor Hoyt's name is up, and I know that has to be wrong. But Dr. O'Quinn.
So, Mr. Clerk, do we need to move these items to
motion?
So, motion to approve the items.
Second.
That was Dr. O'Quinn and President Pro Tem Parker.
All right.
Now, Dr. O'Quinn.
Yes. So, I would like to move that we delay these items 2 weeks. There's concern from my office and from the community. These are properties that are located in the Graymont community. And as you can see from the items, these properties have been condemned for a long time. The permits, multiple permits were issued. The properties have not been improved. And so the community would like the opportunity to speak to these items. Unfortunately, several members of the community who are concerned about these issues are not able to attend due to travel associated with the NUSA conference. And I will be out of town next week. So I am requesting that the council delay action on these items for 2 weeks so the community and myself can have an opportunity to speak to these when they're available.
Okay, it has been moved by Dr. O'Quinn and seconded. Is there any further discussion? I would like to ask a question before we vote, and that is, we have a policy about condemnation permits and people who get them and then don't do anything. And I was wondering if someone could remind me how many permits we give before we say it's over.
Please speak to that. I can tell you, as the administration, we have a problem with some of these. We believe there's some abuse going on, and there's a balance here of your request coming to us about, Mr. Mayor, please move with a sense of urgency to tear these down. They know our process. They take advantage of it because you approve giving them more time. We give them more time. They don't do anything. Some of these people, if I'm correct, are on their second, third. You may even have one person on their fourth request. In our opinion, that's unacceptable, and this is the type of abuse we have to stop.
Thank you. And I know 3 of these have had 4 permits and they've been voided because of lack of effort or lack of accomplishment. And so that's the reason for my question. So what is our limit? Because we changed it, within the last few years.
Edwin Revelle, Department of Planning, Engineering and Permits. Councilor Abbott, it's my understanding that the policy of the PIC committee has been 2 approvals, 2 opportunities.
Okay, so 3 of these have already had 4. So yes, I'm in favor of a delay because I want to know why they're even before us. So we can go ahead and vote because I see no more names up. This is for a 2-week delay.
All right, that vote should be up.
That item passes. Next item.
I think we're just down to communications for emergency purchase notices. Item 102, receiving the emergency purchase notice from the purchasing agent relative to the emergency pool heating boiler for East Pinson Valley Recreation Center. 103, receiving the emergency purchase notice from the purchasing agent relative to the emergency remediation of asbestos and mold at the Traffic Engineering Science Shop, 601 6th Avenue South, Birmingham. And 104, receiving the emergency purchase notice from the purchasing agent relative to the replacement of gas water heater at the fire station number 20. And we also need to go back to the public hearing for budget. Need to take it from the table. I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's we just have to hear these. So now we have. Do I hear a well? We have to set our public hearing. We have 2 people on the council on item number 1 who cannot attend, but I think we need to go ahead and have the public hearing as soon as we can. So, so the 2 who are not going to be here, I'm very sorry, but we're doing the best we can. So, Mr. Clerk, the new date that has been proposed that the majority of councils say that they can attend is Thursday, May 23rd.
Okay.
And it will be at, I think our usual time is 5:30 in the afternoon. It's either 5:30 or 6 o'clock. 5:30. It'll be 5:30 in the afternoon on May 23rd. Y'all can sing me happy birthday that day.
Madam President, the clerk is going to check my publication timing.
To make sure.
Friday, 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're really tight on dates and availability but we have to get it properly published.
Can't get
Oh yeah, we do.
Next publication day will be probably Friday. So you won't get 7 days by the 23rd. You gotta have 7 days.
Okay, so the 23rd will not work. Okay, yeah, just make sure it's 7 days out. But we'll go ahead and do our presentations, and maybe by the time we hear all of the presentations, we can have another date.
Let me ask you, would the Birmingham Times qualify?
Still won't get 7.
It still won't get it. It still will be Thursday. It's with their next publication, and it's still won't give us enough time.
I mean, that was the reason we were out at June 6th, and so we'll.
June 6th is no availability, but it's
yeah, but we Okay, so we're just gonna look for a new date that qualifies for the publication schedule. We'll move ahead with our presentations and our public speakers and our old new business, and by then we should have a new date. Okay, so do I hear a motion for suspension of the rules for the presentations?
So moved. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
First presentation is Mr. Dylan Duncan, Delta Sigma Phi, and Counselor John Hilliard is the sponsor.
Thank you, Madam President. We'll ask you to come up to the microphone. These gentlemen are just so awesome from UAB. This fraternity really worked really hard with the Village Creek Society, and we worked out in the rain. It rained really hard, but it didn't stop us from cleaning up in the East Thomas area. They came out with their rain hats on and their clothes, and they worked their East Thomas Park and helped us clean up. I was so impressed by them, and I'm excited that they're here. So I'm going to ask whichever one of them are going to come up and start the presentation, and then give each one of them an opportunity to tell us who they are and where they're from and what they're majoring in over at UAB. So whoever the leader is, you have the microphone. Give us your name and your classification, and go for it.
Hello, City Council members. My name is Richard Wynn, and I'm the chapter president of Delta Sigma Phi at UAB. I'm a senior majoring in chemistry and minoring in math and biology on the pre-med track. I plan to take the MCAT this upcoming spring, and then plan to apply for medical school here at UAB.
All right. Come on, next.
Hello. I want to thank you for letting us come out, Counselor John Hilliard. Yes. We really appreciate this. My name is Dylan Duncan. I am the chapter's vice president. I'm currently majoring in computer science and math at UAB. I'm a senior, and I plan on graduating in this upcoming December.
Very good. Thank you.
Really excited to be here. Thank you.
All right. My name is Connor Ames. I am a sophomore. I'm a human resources management major. But as soon as I graduate, I'll be commissioning as a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force.
Wow.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Ferguson. I'm a junior, and my major is industrial distribution.
Wow.
I'm August Bauman. I'm from Birmingham, and my major is music technology.
Hello, my name is Tyler Shidlek. I'm a sophomore at UAB, and I'm a communications major with a concentration in sports.
Hi, my name is Carter Sellers, and I am a freshman, or just finished up my freshman year. I'm from Birmingham, and I'm majoring in computer science.
Wow, wow. I want to thank you all so much, Madam President. As you can see, let's give them a hand. This is a sharp group of young people, and I'm just so excited to have them to assist us in Village Creek and in the East Thomas area on the behalf of the neighborhood president, Thomasine Jackson. She works really hard in that area. She's a graduate of Alabama School of Fine Arts, was one of the first young black females to be admitted into that school. So she works equally as hard in her community to get you all involved. We are here to serve, and I think you had a little peek on what government is like, So I know I look into your faces and your eyes, and I see future presidents of the United States. I see senators, congresspeople. I see leaders that will take our city and our country into a whole nother generation. I am proud of the service that you are doing. You're definitely upholding your fraternity motto and serving the community, and that will take you a long way. So as you move ahead, if there's anything that I can do, and I think I can speak for my colleagues, that they can do to help you, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you so much, and thank you, Madam President, and anyone else want any comments?
Thank you, Counselor Hilliard, and thank you to the men of Delta Sigma Phi. I'm glad we didn't make you miss any of your classes. And I know that you all want to be city council members now, that you've seen how much fun we have and how nice we are to each other. So we're happy to see you here and happy that you're willing to serve. And I will tell you a funny story. I was the Delta Sigma Phi Dream Girl back when I was in college at Auburn. Now just see what can happen to you when you are the Delta Sigma Phi Dream Girl. I mean, what can you say? So thank you all for being here. And thank you mostly for your service. We really appreciate the fact that young people are willing to get out there and get themselves dirty and help us with problems that we have in the city, and we all have lots of them. And you can come help my neighborhood too, because I'm adjacent to UAB, and we have a lot of fun with fraternity. So thank you all for being here. And Counselor, we have Counselor Hilliard, Counselor Woods.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, gentlemen. Really good to see you here as a fellow UAB alumni. Appreciate your work and willingness to serve in the community. You guys are impressive, incredibly well-spoken, and I think all of you seem to have bright futures and are shooting for some very high targets, and I wish you well along your way. But I just really want to reiterate and thank you guys for really being service-oriented.
And if we can line up out front, I'd like to get a picture with them.
Well,
Can I go?
let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you can if you move fast,
Yep,
and
we'll move
nobody
fast.
else has to move with you. So thank you, gentlemen. Let's give them another
Madam
big
President,
hand.
as they're leaving, I just want to say, gentlemen, thank you also as a fellow UAB alum. I'm just excited about the community service and all of those majors. I'm just so excited. We're going to be happy to have you here in Birmingham. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Our next presentation is the Park and Recreation Board. Council President Pro Tem Parker.
Yes, ma'am. If we could just delay item number 2 and also number 3 with Inglewood Neighborhood. President Webb is there, but just asked if we could be put off until the 4th Tuesday. But as relates to the Parks and Recreation, if we could come back next week, want to just talk about the pools and the different things as relates to summer camps. So if we could next week have a brief presentation. Also, the new turf will be coming before, I guess, the council either next week or the week thereafter. So we just want to kind of highlight some things that'll be upcoming at Legion Field. But if we could bring item 2 back, if we could come back next week, just to discuss the issues with the pools. And I think it'll be informative because there's one particular pool, Harris Pool, that has some extensive repairs, and I think we need to notify the public as soon as possible what our contingency plans are for that one major pool.
Okay, so item 2 will come back on the 3rd Tuesday, and item 3 will come back on the 4th Tuesday, which is normal presentation
Right, but
time.
as relates to just the pool situation,
Okay,
I think
pools.
if we could just notify the public about the issue with the pools.
Okay.
Okay, yes,
Good.
ma'am. Okay,
Thank you. Now we are to item 4, Mr. Walter Wilson, Executive Director, Southwest Alliance Association Incorporated. Counselor Alexander is the sponsor of this presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, if I could ask Mr. Wilson and the other members of the Southwest Alliance Association, they would please come to the podium. And as they come, and I'll give them an opportunity to introduce themselves, and I believe one of the members of the team may have had to leave to go to work. But the focus of this particular organization is on restoring pride, honor, and respect to the youth in Southwest Birmingham. And they perform that through educational, cultural, and athletic opportunities. As we all know, the youth in Southwest Birmingham, they have needs, and I am very excited about what this group of people does for our children in that area. The association recently sponsored a fantastic voyage through History Mentoring Tour, and they did that in Montgomery, took a group of about 100 children to Montgomery on May 4th, where they traveled to visit the Legacy Museum. And I will allow them again to introduce themselves, but we do have a video package that I would like to present, which includes some of the information. So as they prepare that, if they'll go ahead and roll that, and then we'll allow our guests to speak.
I'm the Deputy Director of Southwest Alliance Association.
in partnership with Community First Birmingham. We, every year, well, this is the third year, we took a group of kids, ages ranging from 10 to 17 years old, down to Montgomery to discuss their heritage, their roots, and to give them the opportunity to learn more about their history. We wanted to place emphasis on the hard fight and efforts their ancestors made in order for them to have the opportunities that they have today. There was about 115 to maybe 120 kids that went on this trip, and those were kids from all over the city of Birmingham as well as Bessemer. What they learned was they learned so much about themselves. We gave them the ingredients to find out what they're made of in order to let them know or to give them some idea on what they are to become. So we place a lot of emphasis on pre-slavery and post-slavery in order to give them a knowledge of self that they couldn't get inside of the curriculums at school. We have an email list that we had the children to sign up, so we contact them routinely. We're looking forward to working on a softball game with those kids that went on that trip, just to keep a continuous relationship throughout the year. And of course, other opportunities will be available for them to participate in a hands-on platform as well. I think it's very important to know your history. Once you know your history, you can determine where your highs, your lows, and kind of work in between. I tell you what, as an example, if I knew then, in my younger years, what I know now, I probably would be a different person. So we teach them about then so they can become and make that change as of now.
So if you would each come up and just introduce yourselves, and I want to thank you for what you're doing for the youth in Southwest Birmingham and all that you do for them. So Ms. Parker, if you'll go ahead and start them off, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. I'm going to say this first to you. Actually, the numbers are actually closer to 200 children that we took down. So I want to make sure we know that.
That's right, 200.
Yeah, there were 200 kids. And I want to make sure that I thank all of you who participated. We've done this every year for the past about 3 or 4 years at the leadership of Abdul and Big Wall. So I want to make sure you guys know we're going to do it next year. So it's a fantastic voice now. So you're going to participate again. But no, actually, we get growing every year. So this year was the most we've ever had. It was closer to 200 this time. Perfect.
Thank you.
And Erica Park is my name.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Jude Washington. I want to thank everybody who participated. I want to make acknowledgments to both of our district attorneys and our sheriff who participate in everything that we do. This is our third year doing this. We're going to continue to do it, and there's other projects that we're doing as well. So we would like your help.
Thank you.
My name is Abdul Al-Wahid, Deputy Director of Southwest Alliance Association. I would like to thank Councilor Alexander's office for your support, the City of Birmingham Mayor Woodfin for his support as well, and we continue to do it for the next upcoming years. Hopefully we can get 6, 7, 8 buses next time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lavisha King.
I'm Big Walt. Let me start by thanking my boss, the greatest boss in the world, for allowing me to be here today. Thank you, Director Gibbons. Mayor Woodfin, your staff is absolutely amazing, man. When it comes to these kids, you and Councilor Alexander have a love for them. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much for what you do. Without you guys, we wouldn't have been able to do this. It's kind of hard going around asking people for money all the time. Hey, give me a donation. We're taking the kids on a fantastic voyage. And people are like, man, I got bills to pay. And personal donations coming from their own pocket. Thank you, guys. We really appreciate y'all, man. And you have truly been a blessing. This is something that we plan to continue because a wise man said to me, a person who don't know their past, who don't understand where they come from, they're doomed to repeat that past. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
One more thing. Hey, Mayor, I'm not trying to be funny, but I got a 5X t-shirt for you. hey, we gave you the 5X, man, because you got a heart like Big Walt, okay? But Councilor, you as well, we have a t-shirt for you guys. These are the t-shirts that we purchased for the kids to wear down there. And if any of you have ever seen the movie called Get on the Bus by Spike Lee, We were able to do our Shibuya roll call, and the kids were able to tell them something about themselves along the way, and we gave away cash prizes all the way from Birmingham to Montgomery. Almost every child on each bus got some kind of prize. Mayor, will you come get this 5X t-shirt?
How many people can you get in that t-shirt? You can get 2 mayors in there.
The 5X is mine, man. It was just a joke.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander, for bringing them forward. And it is important for all of us to know our history, and those museums down there in Montgomery are primo. They have really done a great job. Our next speaker, our next presentation is Mr. John Sanders, National Marketing Director, the Chad Cooper Company on Broadway. Councilor Hilliard.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Sanders, would you come forward to the microphone, introduce yourself, and go for it.
All right. Good morning, City Council.
Morning.
Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. We really appreciate the platform that you are providing for us this morning. Again, my name is John Sanders, the National Marketing Director for the Justice on Trial stage play. I'm bringing you greetings from the Chad Cooper Company on Broadway. We are the only Black-owned film and theater production company on Broadway in New York City. We are currently on a 25-city tour, nationwide tour, and we are bringing the hit Justice on Trial stage play, Black Lives Matter 2, to the great city of Birmingham, because Birmingham is the birthplace of civil rights. So this production is about 2 civil rights attorneys that sue the U.S. Justice Department for reparations and damages done to the African American community. We bring back your time traveler witnesses such as your Harriet Tubman, your Medgar Evers, your Emmett Till, and they testify before a jury deliberation. This production is motivational, it's educational, it's inspirational, and we want to work in collaboration with the city to empower our communities. But just know that we are more than just a stage play. We are also working to empower Birmingham's youth. So we are currently in a process of organizing a film day. I'm not sure if you're following on the packet here, but we're organizing a film day scheduled June the 1st of this year. We're filming a documentary entitled Birmingham 2020, A Clear Vision. So this is about a story of how the young people of Birmingham braved arrests, fire hose, and police dogs in 1963, and they essentially brought segregation to its knees. In the spring of 1963, Birmingham, Alabama was the do or die battleground for civil rights. This episode will take place in a city courtroom setting where experts and living witnesses testify before a mixed jury while suing the state of Alabama for reparations. Now, here's where it gets really fun. Now, on that day, we will have 1,000 youth. We're going to identify 1,000 youth here in the city of Birmingham to meet us in a park to shoot the scene with the children to basically play back the children of the march as we pass the torch of change for the youth of the next generation. So we're just asking for your support. But not only are we empowering our youth, because we're more than just a stage play, we also work to partner with African American businesses in our community. Each city that we go to, we partner with our local leadership, our local African American businesses, and our churches, and we work to build pipelines between our churches and our businesses. So we're more than just a stage play. We are building a social movement, and we're looking for you to support us in this initiative. And we understand that the movement begins here in the great city of Birmingham. We are also asking you to support us in two ways: by helping us sponsor 1,000 youth for the production. We want to ensure that our young people have a connection to their history so that we as a community can pass the torch and create a platform and pass a legacy to the next generation. So if you can please support us, we're just asking that you can work in collaboration with us. In addition, we're looking for, we'll need support with security, food, and also all the necessary permits to bring this vision to a reality. So I want to thank you so much for this opportunity, and we are excited about partnering with the great city of Birmingham. Thank you so much for your time.
I want to thank you
for Mr. Sanders.
Yeah, I want to thank you for coming, and also I want to thank you for keeping the dream alive. You know, as I was coming in and I was listening at public radio this morning, I heard them talking about how in one country, I can't think of the name of it, maybe somebody else heard it, where the Jews have been treated very badly, and over, I think it said 21 million of them had been exterminated over a period of time, and they was due reparations.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, I thought to myself that even though we have come a long ways, and I am very proud of my white colleagues and friends all over the country that has helped us. A lot of white people gave a lot during that time and helped us get to where we are now. But we are still owed reparations, and we deserve to be paid. The Japanese have been paid. Everybody else has been paid. We have never received our 40 acres and our mule.
Yes.
I still want mine.
Absolutely.
You know, and I would like for us to continue to keep that dream alive. So thank you for that conversation, and we'll be talking to you later.
Thank you so much, Councilman. And we also provided some statistical information on one of the last pages, and that pretty much reinforces our need for this reparations fight. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. We are now ready to suspend the rules for our request from the public, our public speakers.
Second.
Need a motion.
Motion. Second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Janine Howard. St. Mark Village. Ms. Howard.
Is Ms. Howard here?
She's right there.
Oh, well, come forward to the microphone, and remember that this microphone is very weak, so you have to really talk into it.
I'm very loud because I'm a retired physical education teacher.
Okay, so you know how to yell.
So I know how to speak up. Mayor Whistler, President Abbott, good evening, councilors. My name is Mrs. Jean Small Howard. I live in East Thomas. More specifically, I live in St. Mark's Village. I've been living there for 70 years, which is older than most of you. That was a part of it was only in and out while I went to school. Then I couldn't get a job in Birmingham. I had to work out of town. But I'm calling about my community. This is my community. We need some houses torn down that are falling in. I've called in 2 or 3 times before you got the new system to have some houses torn down. All right, the streets needs to be paved. I understand that when Councilor Rodney Royal was here and Mayor Bell asked each councilor to turn in the streets that needed to be paved. Everybody turned in some, but him. 14th Court is like a patchwork quilt. You want to take just come on through there. I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about the streets and where I am. There are children on the streets. Cars are passing through there doing more than 40 miles an hour. These children's families have not taught them that you're supposed to look before you go across the street. They're going out in the street. They're going out there to get the balls and everything. And we're asking that some type of protection be given to that section and also where there are other children in St. Mark's that will help us with the children. I sit on my front porch and I dread the day that I see a child get hit by a car. They pass through there flying. Next, I would like to mention some improvement at stores. You have to go at least 6 miles to get groceries. There are all of a sudden all the stores that were out there, Foodland, Maxwell, I think, and CVS, all of them closed down. So now we don't have any stores out there that we can go to that are close. We have to either go to North Birmingham or out to Forestdale. So we're asking you, please, will you do something to help us? I've been there since 2002. I've called in several times to have, before you got the new system, to have grass cut, houses torn down. Some right below me, there's one, and I don't know why it has not been torn down. But it's been there and it's been empty ever since 2002.
Ms. Howard, your time is up, but what I wanted to ask the mayor was if he could have somebody just talk to you about your issues.
They've already said it. They will.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming. And our timer is broken today, and so, you know, I can see the timer and you can't.
I'm sorry. I apologize, but I get carried away.
I understand. You have a lot of issues.
Thank you so much.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our next speaker.
Patricia Daly.
I would like to say good morning to the mayor and the city council and the people in the audience. I, Patricia Daly, come this morning as a concerned citizen about Fire Station 28. I would like to know what is the update on Fire Station 28 getting the work done to install a range hood so they could use their stove. Can somebody tell me the update? Okay. Approximately a year ago, Fire Station 28 received a new stove. However, it has been inoperable due to the city failure to install a range hood. This has caused the firefighters to go out and purchase meals instead of being able to prepare a nutritious meal in their own fire station. And this, to me, shows a lack of compassion and disregard for the firefighters who protect and serve us. The city has to be mindful of the people who protect and serve us. So I am asking the mayor and the city council member to come off of the podium and go into these fire stations and assess what the firefighters need and require to adequately perform their job duties. Nobody wants a hungry firefighter to worry about their growling stomach when they should be focusing on protecting and serving the citizens. These are our everyday heroes, and they deserve utmost kindness and respect. Thank you for your time and your prompt attention to this matter.
Thank you, Ms. Daly. Mr. Mayor, did I hear you say it will be on our agenda next week? That's very timely, Ms. Daly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Ronald Jackson.
Good morning, fellow citizens.
Good morning.
Mr. Mayor, Council. Very appropriate timing for this particular council meeting. On Friday, May 17th, is the 65th anniversary of the historic Brown v. Board of Education decision, which struck down the constitutional concept of having separate but equal schooling in the United States, alternatively referred to as Jim Crow education. However, as we stand here today, Birmingham City schools are more segregated now than they were in 1968. I want to refer all of you to a very timely publication by the Birmingham Business Journal, where they have listed the academic performance of every school system in this county. Where does Birmingham stand? The largest city, the wealthiest city? On the bottom, graded F, Mr. Mayor. This Friday at the North Birmingham Library, beginning at 10 a.m., Citizens for Better Schools and Sustainable Communities is holding a workshop titled Brown Past 65. It is a workshop that will bring forth solutions to bring us up off the bottom. And why must we come up off the map? Because education is the fuel that drives economies. Mr. Mayor, as long as your school system that you served as school board president once is an F, your job of economic recruitment will be like that of Sisyphus. You will toil, but you will be drugged down by atrophy. We're going to encourage you in this budget, the few $100,000, a little paltry $1 million that you give to our education system is not enough to advance us. Now's the time to make a critical investment in academic achievement for this city. And you can't do that with large class sizes where students are struggling in poverty and failing as they are. So we're asking you all to come. It's open to the public, no admission. Those of you who are listening via your electronic devices, all you have to do is call and register at this number, 205-862-0538. We'll go into what is needed both in terms of finances, academic programming, and the like. I'd like for you all to go to the New York Times, which this week has been running a series of articles about Brown v. Board of Education and why, as a matter of national defense and global economic development, it is absolutely essential that we eliminate the vestiges of Jim Crow education in this nation. It's about sustainability. I cried, and I conclude with this. For this young lady to have to come up here and beg and plead for a little capital improvement shows that Birmingham is in an era of unsustainability. That is the challenge, and you cannot do it as long as you have a public education system that's failing and a governor who now wants to eliminate the elected state board of education and appoint minions. Parents, if you want a high performing student, you must invest more in the academic program Birmingham City Schools and reduce class sizes and properly fund these schools so that these counselors and teachers can do the work that you expect. And I hope you would begin to demand more over.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
To make these schools structured for success for all our children. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Next speaker. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. O'Quinn.
Mr. Jackson, I just wanted to make the point that we have, with regard to educational funding, there is a fundamental systemic challenge that we have in the state of Alabama regarding how our schools are funded, and it is fundamentally inequitable in that municipalities that have higher property values, the students get a greater proportion of the funding, to effect of, in some municipalities it's double what the students in Birmingham, city schools receive. So I would encourage you and the folks who are involved in this effort to continue lobbying our state legislature to address this fundamental issue that in the way our schools are funded.
If I may, it's local funding, and if you accept your responsibility at the local level of giving more funding for Birmingham City Schools from this council, from this budget that you're preparing now, you can be like Mountain Brook, but this city is too niggardly to fund our schools with local. You do the comparison of how much you give from your city council. You don't give 1 penny dedicated from your sales taxes that this council controls to our schools. So, brother, don't try to flip it. You can't do it. The burden is on you.
No, sir, I disagree with you. You
disagree, but get the empirical data before you disagree with me and try to espouse this nonsense.
Let me make a point. So in the past fiscal year, the city of Birmingham allocated $3 million in the budget to Birmingham City Schools. Yes, it is chump change. It is chump change. I agree with you. That was the amount that we identified that we could afford based on all of the needs that our citizens demand of us. So, but my point, one thing I want to make a point to you is that $3 million allocation, we waited for the Birmingham City School System to tell us how they were going to use that funding. To this day, we do not have a plan from Birmingham City Schools as to how they intend to use that $3 million. So we're over here saying, hey, we will put money towards our school system, but we need cooperation from Birmingham City Schools to tell us how they intend to use that money. We will not, or this counselor will not, say, I'm going to write you a blank check. We will not do that.
Political rhetoric, sir. You get earmarked. If you earmark what you do appropriate, they cannot misuse it. Just like this mayor misled us with respect to the money this council put up, saying money was going to cultural arts, and then flipped it. There are ways to do it. Come to the workshop. We have solutions. And as a matter of fact, I'm inviting you personally. Come on. We want to have that conversation with you, but we want action afterwards.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
And we'll deal with you, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. And we do have a committee of the whole meeting tomorrow to hear from the superintendent of schools to talk about the amount of money that we've given them and what they're doing with it, plus a lot of other information on redistricting. And so she's just going to come and talk to us about everything Board of Education.
Time and where?
4 o'clock in conference rooms D and E, I believe.
We will be there. Thank you.
If it's different from D and E, I'll let you know. Next speaker.
Dora Sims, Vicky Moore.
Good morning, Dora Sims, serving as community president, and I'm going to ask the officers representing the 5 Points West and also representatives of Saving the Neighborhoods and even with our business alliance, we all just come on and join up. We're here basically this morning to basically thank our mayor and Councilor Hoyt and all of you for your support of us on this initiative with the cement factory. And we held a special call meeting because I really wanted the officers to state their concerns and everything. And so from that, we had several that came up, and they were talking about the toxic air pollution, the radius of our schools that are in close proximity of the plant, our health. Those are some of the things they mentioned, the quality of life, and then our also property values. And so I wanted to allow them to also be able to speak because, you know, as a community, it's not just me, but there are 6 neighborhoods there, and we are also very thankful that Saving the Neighborhood is an advocate group. That's our spokesperson there is Miss April Williams, but also here with us this morning is Jonice Thompson, who's going to speak on that behalf. And so this time I'm just going to let them come forth and speak as well. But we are here for the support. And then also, as I lead the point, let me say we have been reached out by the health department, who's coming out to talk with us, along with a representative from the Sherman Industries that's going to talk with us as well. So, you know, we are going to hear them as well. But now let me let them talk. Thank you.
Okay, the 2 people that have signed up to speak are Dora Sims and Vicki Moore.
Okay, yes.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor Woodfin, Madam President, and the council. I just wanted to say thank you for supporting us throughout this issue with Sherwin. We're all opposing here, and it's just not a Central Park thing. It's surrounding neighborhoods that are concerned too, who have picked up, they've done their citizen petitions to help us out in this matter, and I want to make sure that everybody is heard as far as what they want to say about Sherwin coming to our area. We want a quality of life free from pollution and toxic air. So I'm going to let the other people speak, but I want to thank everybody that picked up and said, we're going to help you with this, because it's not just Central Park. That toxic air and pollution will transcend and go to other areas and communities, and we want to make sure that we are heard. We're not sleeping bears, we are lions, and we are going to roar. So I'm going to let the other people speak about it, but thank you so very much for your support. We appreciate it.
Mayor Woodfin, City Council members, I'm Jonice Thompson. I've lived in Birmingham most of my life. I've worked in Birmingham at the University of Alabama for the past 30 years. Mayor Woodfin, I retired right around the time that you came into office and served on your Healthy Communities competitive communities team to bring about healthy communities. I returned back to Bush Hills to implement some of those things that we talked about on the team, and want to let you know today that on Bush Hills we are working steadily to build from within, bringing neighbors together and residents together to work from within the community to build a healthy model so that other communities in Birmingham can follow that. And just in over 6 months, we have raised over $35,000. Also, with in-kind services, we're probably at about $100,000. And as we set out to do that, now here I am, the team, we're having to spend time because a cement plant is headed there. And so we have to stop focusing on trying to get a neighborhood improvement plan that will guide us on what we need to do to get a healthy, competitive neighborhood and community, and focus on a cement plant. But I do want to thank you for passing the resolution and then for the consideration today. Now, there is a document that's before you. Mayor, you talked about unifying, and I know after spending so many years in the community trying to be a healthy community that you cannot do it by yourself. So we unified, and we have a group that's now called SOS, Saving Neighborhoods. And it's not just intended for the western section. It's something that any neighborhood can use to save its neighborhood. And we are poised and we are ready for the fight to make sure that we can continue to work, because where you work, live, and play determines your health. and we want to stay healthy. So respectfully, I want to submit this document here, and you should have it in your hands by now. And it's from the SOS, and Doris Sims, our community president, because we can't operate on, they need the strength of the whole community. So we formed this group, and we are a unified body of resident leaders, businesses, places of worship, schools, and organizations joined together to save our neighborhoods. And we are opposed to Sherman Industries erecting 2 concrete batch plants in the 5 Points West area. And our concerns are transportation, economic development, and the biggest one is the health and environmental concerns. And this document contains, but is not limited to, some of the health statistics and our concerns. So I would like to respectfully commit in some of our message points on here and our supporting messages. So you have 2 documents that we would like to respectfully submit to you. And so, and we thank you for the opportunity to come before you, and we thank you for your continued support, because even if we work from within the community to build a healthy community, we cannot do it without your support. And we thank you for the opportunity to come before you, and we have your back. And we thank Councilman Horton in District 8 for his support. And so again, Mayor, thank you, and we're 100% behind you, because you cannot build these communities and make them healthy by yourself. It's going to take those of us who work, live, and play there to help you do that. So Bush Hills is poised and ready to show you a model that we are working on, that we can share with Central Park, we can share with other communities to help them to do what we are trying to do there and have the data and the statistics needed to make it happen. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. The other 3 names that are here are Corey Bishop, Adlai Trone, and Kimberly Washington. Mr. Bishop is first.
Again, we want to thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Remember our microphone.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak. I want to talk about the economic development on the Western District. These ladies and gentlemen are right. Sherman will be very bad for us. It will stop a lot of economic development. Alabama Power has powered with us. They came up with some different designs to help with the upcoming World Games. We all know we are less than 790 days away from that. But Alabama Power has come through our neighborhoods and come up with some designs that I would like to share with you guys. I think I gave them to Mr. Hilliard once before, but we just need to know, how can we get them in your in your hands, so you can check those things out, and then what else can we do to bring economical development to the 5 Points West city? Not just the city of 5 Points West, but the whole Western District of 5 Points West. What 5 Points West is the catalyst for those 8 neighborhoods that we're speaking of, but we want to bring economical development to everything besides 5 Points West. So we just need your help to get us engaged with different businesses types, to grow and improve that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Adlai Trone is next.
Is it morning yet? Is it morning, evening, afternoon?
It's afternoon.
Good afternoon, good people. I want to thank God, the Most High, my Lord and Savior, for allowing me to be here today. Without him, it wouldn't be possible. I want to let you all know, we got 792 days before the World Game come, and we want to present a unified effort throughout the city of Birmingham. We know in 5 Points West, we have a major anchor, $100 million project that's underway at the Crossplex development. And we really have questions about the economic plan and what is to come within these 792 days. Last night we had a town hall meeting. We want to thank the mayor for coming out. We also want to thank Councilman Hoyt for coming out. We ran over time in terms of what the community voice is and was and what they want to say. Just a couple of highlights: economic development, crime reduction plan. A lot of individuals are concerned about our youth activities as it relates to carrying over into the summer. But the big anchor and what everyone wants to know and discuss is this concrete batching facility that's right there in the backyard of this development. I had the time to tour the site this Sunday, and it was ironic because there's so much green space back there. I don't know if you all paid attention to it. And most of that property is owned by the city of Birmingham. And I stumbled upon a big turtle. It was about a 4-foot turtle, just right there sitting in the grass next to the agriculture department that the city has with a little pond in the back. It's meaningful for me. As a child, Valley Creek flows into my grandmother's backyard in the city of Brighton, right in the backyard. And as a child, I've always studied, how does this little creek go around and all the way? If you don't know, there are people that actually go there and kayak often. They get out of their cars and they get a kayak and they kayak down through midfield. Green space. We got to protect this green space. I mean, it would be idealistically speaking if we could have a walk trail where we can get out and walk along Valley Creek as it goes down to the Red Rock Trail that has already been created. We're talking about green space here. We need to protect that. So I want to know, what are we doing to protect that green space? Last but not least, I do want to bring up the issue because we had several discussions about the budget process. A lot of us as neighborhood officers, we're restricted by the amount that's actually allocated or designated to our individual budgets. If we could have more money that's allocated towards our budget right now, I think it's around the amount of $2,000 per neighborhood. When we just had a discussion about millions of dollars that are flowing through Birmingham, we can be empowered if we have a larger amount of sum of dollars that are allocated. And I like to start with a 5-figure amount. Each neighborhood should get designated a minimum of $10,000. Give us something so that we can be empowered, so that we can bring these solutions and ideas forward, especially as we invite the world. I know my time is short. I got lots more to say, but I will hit pause and continue to the next time I'm before you. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Trone. The last speaker in this group is Kimberly Washington. Is Kimberly Washington here? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were part of this organization. Different issue. Okay. Okay, well, come on up and, yeah, same issue. Come on up and talk to us.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. My name is Kimber Washington. I'm a single mother within the Central Park neighborhood. I'll make this really simple. I'm a first-time homeowner. Although it has taken 2 decades to accomplish with an affordable home purchasing budget and familiarity to the community, having once worked at Central Park Elementary as a substitute teacher. I'm now a homeowner of that community. I am here today with my concerns for my children that I will spend the next 2 decades raising in the Central Park neighborhood until they reach adulthood. I grew up in a zip code living directly across from a pipe shop, attended school in Cottageville that were only minutes from multiple scrapyard, steel, and quarry properties, and other properties that has diminished, the quality of life and community. The American dream I've envisioned for my children was not of a polka dot style community, invasively filled with businesses such as Sherman's Concrete and other industrialized businesses that function within residential communities of color. My point today, I do not want Sherman's Concrete in or near my community. Central Park is my home. My mother has always said, if you're not welcome in my home, don't come. That's it.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank you all for being here with us today, and we hear you loud and clear. And thank you. Councilor Hilliard.
Wow, first of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for your participation. What I really like about this is that it's causing you to really organize and think outside the box. I think your SOS is awesome. I think the fact that you're raising money outside of what you get from the city or whatever else is what's needed. We need to create more community development programs where you take ownership of your neighborhood. I particularly have, as a real estate broker, I've sold properties in that Bush Hill area. Not more than a year and a half ago, right down Bush Boulevard, I think it was 1933, I'm not sure on the address, but I think a client of mine bought that house for $2,600,000. He turned around and sold it for a couple of $1,000s more. The young man that bought that property sold it for $159,000. What I'm trying to tell you, there is value in your community. Actually, Neil probably wouldn't mind me saying his name, but I know his first name is Neil. Neil has probably renovated at least 10 houses up, or 10 to 12 houses up in that area, which he really changed the value in the Bush Hill area. He changed the value and allowed you to gain more equity in your properties. That's what I call, if he can do it, he came here from Tuscaloosa. I mean, you're living in the community. That's the type of thing that has to be spread to all 99 neighborhoods. Yes, government is important, but government, as our mayor said, cannot do it all. You have to come up with some innovative ways on how to change your neighborhood. And what you're doing now is more important than ever because, hey, we know how long it's taking. Look, I live in the western area. I think I paid my house off maybe maybe about 10 years ago. Do you know that house has not increased in value with all the equity I've done? So if I had an emergency and I wanted to go and get an equity loan on my home, it wouldn't be worth anything. But my friend who went and built down in Chelsea is on his second house, where his note was only $600 a month. He now gets $1,800 a month for that one house. And he's built a second house what has doubled in value. We got to create that type of thing in our communities. So I implore you to continue to work the way you're working, but become leaders like you already are and develop the ownership, because there is value, not just in Bush Hill, but all 99 neighborhoods. But it will not happen until people like you continue to come together in all 99 neighborhoods and make a difference. So continue up the good work. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Hilliard. Thank you, everyone. Our next speaker, number 5. Lizzie Rayford. Good afternoon.
I'm from West End,
Okay,
5 Point West.
You can pull the microphone down.
I'm from West End, 5 Point West.
Okay.
At 1817 Woodland Avenue Southwest. And I've been having trouble out there ever since 2005.
What kind of trouble?
Trouble, my house being shot on. Every night, someone under my house, around my house, and I don't like that. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I don't bother nobody. I keep to myself. And every neighbor know that. I keep to myself. So y'all got to do something about this. I don't know what y'all can do about it, because it's a terrible neighborhood. It's a real terrible neighborhood. Any 2 times someone trying to threaten your life or trying to come to your house and come in your house, on top of your house, this is ridiculous. I'm a single woman. I'm single. 70 years old. I don't need that mess. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised in a Christian home where you have values, and I have a lot of values. I love people, but hey, it's time to stop. It's been time to stop.
Well, thank you. Ms. Rayford, the mayor has someone right here, this lady with the white jacket and the black dress, to talk to you about your issues.
I tried to talk to him.
Well, she'll help you and talk to you right now. Next speaker.
Miss Gamble.
Kelly Gamble.
She's gone. He's gone.
Oh, okay, he's gone.
Carlos. He's gone too.
Carlos Chavers.
Okay, he's out as well. And I think I added Jonice Thomas.
She was with the last group.
With the last group. Okay, I think that's it.
Okay, we are ready for our old and new business, and we'll start with Councilor Alexander. If she's ready, and if she's not, we can.
Well, thank you, Madam President. I would like to start by thanking everyone for the sympathy and care and concern that you've shown to me with my mother's transition. And it really means so much to me to work with a group of people who have care and concern for you. So Mayor and President Abbott and my fellow colleagues and council staff and members of the mayor's staff in this city, I thank you each for the support that you've shown to me and my family. So thank you. I would like to start with the announcements for our District 7. We do have several neighborhood association meetings coming up. We have the East Brownsville Neighborhood Association meeting that will be at Galilee Baptist Church. That's today at 6:00 p.m. We also have the Riley Trevalick Neighborhood Association meeting. They'll be meeting at the Southwest Community Center, and that's today at 6. The Winona High School will have their awards ceremony at Birmingham Crossplex, and this is athletic awards, I believe. This is Wednesday, May 15th at 6 p.m. at the Birmingham Crossplex. We do have that award-winning basketball team, so I'm sure they'll be getting some gifts at that ceremony. We also have the Industrial Center neighborhood meeting. That'll be Thursday at the Lawson State Community College in the A.G. Gaston building. The Germania Park neighborhood meeting will be held Thursday at the South Park Baptist Church at 6. The Industrial Center meeting is at 4, and then the Hillman neighborhood meeting will be at the Mirador Center Thursday at 6 p.m. And I have one last announcement. The South Park Seventh-day Adventist Church will be having an Acts of Compassion, Serving the Community, Health and Resource Fair, and that will be at the church from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Councilor O'Quinn, and I have to say, your mother's service was one of the most meaningful ones I've been to. Reverend Sutton, I asked him if he'd come do mine, just not too soon. He did a beautiful, beautiful job, and I felt like I knew your mother when I left that service, so thank you. That was meaningful, even though I know you didn't intend to have that meeting so soon. It was a very meaningful service, so thank you. Dr. O'Quinn?
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight, the East Avondale Neighborhood Association will be meeting at 6 p.m. at New Bethel Baptist Church. Also tonight, there is a presentation on the City Center Master Plan at Sloss Furnace in the Birmingham Museum of Art. I'm sorry, I apologize. It is at Sloss Furnace in the East Room from 5:30 to 6:30. Again, the City Center Master Plan presentation, 5:30 to 6:30 at Sloss Furnace in the East Room. Tomorrow, on May 15th, Greymont Neighborhood Association will not meet at 4:30 p.m. Their meeting has been rescheduled to Wednesday, May 22nd at the Smithfield Library. On Thursday, May 16th, the Southside Neighborhood Association will meet at 6 p.m. at the Southtown Court Community Center. And for Monday, May 20th, the normally scheduled Transportation Committee meeting has been canceled. I'll be out of town, so Councilor Hilliard, make note of that. Again, the Transportation Committee meeting scheduled for Monday has been canceled. And that concludes my announcements.
Thank you, Dr. O'Quinn. Councilor Hilliard?
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to my daughter, Alexandria Hilliard, for getting her license on her assisted living facility, Ivy Gate Assisted Living Facility. That has been a monumental task for both of us, but she's worked extremely hard. So I want to congratulate her for that. At 5:00 p.m., the Tuxedo Heights Neighborhood Association will be meeting at North Pratt Library. At 6:00 p.m., Sandusky Neighborhood Association will be meeting at the Jimmy Hudson Recreation Center. Thursday at 6:00 p.m., the Ensley Neighborhood Association will be meeting at McAlpine Recreational Center. The North Pratt Neighborhood Association has been canceled for tonight and rescheduled for 6:00 p.m. on Monday, May the 24th at the North Pratt Library. The Downtown Redevelopment Authority has 3 vacancies on its Downtown Redevelopment Authority. If you are interested to have, please send your resumes to Councilor John Hilliard's office at john.hilliard@birminghamal.gov. john.hilliard@birminghamal.gov. Joseph House Elevation, the Young Women's Group will be having an event to be held at the Dannon Street Project from 8 to 12. Grades from 8 through 12 on May the 25th at 11 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. The first annual Biz Wiz tournament will be held at the North Pratt Recreation Center on May the 25th from 11 until 5. Please contact the North Pratt Civic League. The donation they're asking is $30 per person. You can reach out to 205-915-9559. The Magic City Surge men's baseball team event will be hosting interviews on June the 15th. There will be no District 9 neighborhood meetings of the Minds in May. The boxing program is still at Carver High School in conjunction with the City of Birmingham, and Council Hilliard's office are still advertising for kids ages 12 through 18. Please reach out to my office at 205-2302. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Hilliard. Councilor Williams, welcome back.
Thank you, Madam President. Sorry I missed the speakers. I'm sure they were lively. We have 3 neighborhood meetings to report. Brown Springs Neighborhood Association will be meeting at the East Lake Library this Thursday, May the 16th at 6 p.m. Southeast Lake Neighborhood Association meeting will be at Southeast Lake United Methodist Church on Monday, May the 20th at 6 p.m. Huffman will also be meeting at Cornerstone Schools of Alabama on Monday, May 20th at 7 p.m. This upcoming Saturday, June 8th, from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. is the Family Fishing Rodeo at East Lake Park. There will be music, vendors, food trucks, prizes, T-shirts for the first 300 guests, and there's no fishing license required. I invite all of you guys to come out and join us. It's a good time. I know that you two were out there last year. I think Parker caught himself a fish, actually. If I
better this year.
Yeah, it was a little fish, but maybe this year he can get a he can.
I've been to all of them but one.
Well,
so
don't break that tradition this
I won't,
year
and
because
I've
we're
never-
really excited
I've never
about
caught
it.
a fish.
Yeah, well,
I've never
we'll
tried
get
very
Parker
hard.
to cast your line or something like that. But that's all we got. Thank you, Madam President.
Good, thank you. President Pro Tem Parker.
Thank you, Madam President. Wanted to read Councilor Smitherman's announcements real quick from District 6 first, if that's okay. Tomorrow, May 15th, Graymont will not meet tomorrow at Smithfield Library. The meeting has been moved to next Wednesday, May 22nd at 4:30. And this Saturday, May 18th, the North Titusville neighborhood will meet at Titusville Library at 11 a.m. This Friday, May 17th, be the first session of a sit-down with Councilor Smitherman, and it'll take place at Princeton Medical Center from 9:30 to 12:30. And please come out to discuss issues dealing with District 6 and District 6 moving forward. Also, Saturday, May 18th, is the second session of sit-down with Councilor Smitherman, and that'll take place at New Pilgrim Baptist Church from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. And a reminder also about the District 6 Job Fair, and it's going to be held at Memorial Park from 11 to 2 p.m. on Saturday, May 18th. And one of her initiatives is for District 6 is the economy and helping to provide jobs for the residents that will expand our tax base here within the city of Birmingham. So those are announcements from Councilor Smitherman. Also, the Park Board is meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. at Legion Field. Also have announcements from Mr. Jenkins from District 4. So let me continue on. Men's Day at Oak Street for Reverend Connor is going to be the fourth Sunday in May at 11 a.m. Also, I don't think those are announcements. Those are letters, Mr. Jenkins, that you sent. So anyway, with that, Madam President, that concludes the report from District 4. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Pro Tem. We've had a day today. I wanted to thank the Birmingham City Council security officers, Charles Lewis and Roderick Shelby. Thank you for keeping us safe today, guys. I wanted to, World Games. Come to Birmingham in 2021. And I know that there's another person who's counting besides me. Mr. Trone is counting. I wanted to give a special thanks to the folks that put on Leadership Alabama. I just finished my stint with them. They wore me out, but those 4 different weekends have been very, very eye-opening as regarding problems in our state. And I've been to prison now. I've been to the Donaldson Correctional Facility, and I will, yeah, but I've been there, and it was pretty terrible. So anyway, I wanted to also thank the Jefferson County Legislative Delegation for our meeting last week in Montgomery. I thought it was great. And we found out that we have contention in Birmingham in our city government, and they have contention in Montgomery, so it's natural. The Pension Investment Managers Conference also was very interesting. I wanted to acknowledge Congresswoman Terry Sewell and her colleagues for holding the field hearing yesterday in this very room. They've adjusted my chair where it doesn't feel like it's mine anymore. But it was interesting to see what goes on in one of their hearings, and certainly interesting to hear what they had to say about voting rights, which was also frustrating because this is Alabama, but they did get it all out into the open. Committee announcements. The next Budget and Finance Committee will be held Wednesday, May 29th, 2019 in conference rooms D and E at 3:30 p.m. Agenda submissions are due by noon on Wednesday, May 22nd, 2019. So get your information in on time, please. Special call Committee of the Whole meeting will be held on tomorrow, Wednesday, May 15th, in conference rooms D and E. It will be at 4 p.m. This will be an educational update from the superintendent, Dr. Lisa Herring. She will be informing us all things Birmingham Board of Education related. So I hope that everyone will be there, especially everyone who's been, talking about the Board of Education and wants to have more information. And that's the only item on our special call Committee of the Whole is Dr. Herring.
And what time?
It will be at 4 o'clock.
Okay. So not 3:30, 4.
Not 3:30, 4 o'clock to accommodate various schedules.
Gotcha.
So half hour later, but hopefully that will help everyone. Then the public involvement, no, never mind on that one. On Saturday, May 18th, Doodah Day will be held at Rhodes Park. Now, Doodah Day has been held in Birmingham for, I think, the last 20, 25 years. And they used to take up all the parks, and now they're just down to Rhodes Park due to the expense of reserving parks. But it'll be a great day regardless. The only time I ever had a tent at Doodah Day, it poured down rain on us. And it was memorable. The water flowed through the tent. It was interesting. Yeah, there was a lot of water everywhere. Tomorrow, May 15th, there is also a public meeting discussing air quality, the 2019 Air Quality Conformity Determination Report, the FY 2020 through 2023 Transportation Improvement Program, and the 2045 Regional Transportation Plan. It will be located at 2 20th Street North in the 3rd floor conference room from 12 to 1 and then again from 5 to 6. So, gosh, Wednesday's going to be a busy day. And tonight, Highland Park Neighborhood Association meets at the Highland Racquet Club at 6 o'clock. East Avondale meets at the exact same time, except at New Bethel Baptist Church, both at 6 p.m. So we have lots to do, y'all. Now, we have item 1.
We have an addendum as well. The 105 mosquito
Okay, well, I
Adult
seem to
aside.
have lost my addendum.
The Clark mosquito control products item.
What are we doing with that?
Motion to delay to item 105 for 2 weeks.
Let's get it before us first.
Oh, yeah, we need
No,
we need a motion.
Motion to bring it up.
Yeah, we need the motion to approve.
Okay,
Okay,
so
who
we
we
have,
got?
we have a motion from Counselor Williams, and who seconded?
I did.
Okay.
Subsequent motion to delay for 2 weeks.
Do we have a
So-
second?
Well, hold on. Will you tell me what's up with that?
They want to buy $39,000 worth of adulticide, 880 gallons.
When do y'all need it by to spray before my office is littered with complaints about mosquitoes?
This is Walt Gibbons, Director of Public Works. Sir, we've got about 4 weeks left of a product from last year, and so about 4 weeks from now, roughly.
Okay.
So let me ask you. So how long? Can you all just bring this back and put it on the agenda for Tuesday? I'm saying if it goes today, will you have enough time, even if we pass it today, to get everything, the purchase order, and get the stuff ordered? So will this interrupt if we pass it today? Will we stay on that timeline?
Walt Gibbons Public Works, I can't answer that question. I'm not sure how long the procurement timeline for that will be. I don't have an answer for that one.
Okay, well I'm ready to approve. I mean, because you need some lapse time in ordering the stuff and then getting it to make sure there's no interruption in service.
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Okay,
Gibbons.
Counselor O'Quinn is up next, and then Counselor Williams. So Counselor O'Quinn, is this old or is this new?
This is new.
Okay.
So I wanted to bring up the point that Mayor Woodfin, as you all probably all know, appointed transition committees, and all of those committees developed recommendations for the mayor, and specifically the Environmental Justice and Sustainability Committee. And their recommendations, they recommended specifically, and I quote, discontinue citywide herbicide application program. This would cut costs and reduce pollution. In the alternative, the city could make herbicide spraying an opt-in program for property owners who would like to receive herbicide spraying. And the second related recommendation is to discontinue citywide pesticide application program. So again, these are recommendations from the Mayor's Environmental Justice Sustainability Committee. And I also want to point out that other municipalities have discontinued pesticide spraying. They don't do it in Homewood. They don't do it in Hoover. It's, they've seen the light. They recognize that it's ineffective. And so, I think we need to take a clue from our neighbors and do away with this.
Thank you. Counselor Williams?
I had a question.
For this, do y'all have a similar opt-out program, the same as that you do for the herbicide program, the opt-out that you do have for the herbicide program?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay.
And that program is if a resident opts out, there's with a 1 block radius of that property, we do not spray.
Okay.
Yeah, I have
and then
okay.
Our next speaker is after you finish.
And then Mr. Sparks, in the mayor's absence, it appears that y'all have this before us, correct? So it appears that it is your opinion that y'all would like.
That's correct.
To do this program.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, Counselor Hilliard?
No, ma'am. I'm just ready to vote.
Just ready to vote.
President Pro Tem Parker?
I'm ready to vote on this item, and then we're going to talk about the opt-out at another committee meeting, but I'm ready to vote on this item.
Okay. Well, I'm not ready to vote because I'm back to remind y'all that we're spraying poison all over our city. It may be a PR trip for somebody to spray poison over everything because all the people who complain about mosquitoes think it's doing something. We don't spray until after the mosquitoes have gone to bed. And the reason we don't do that is because our people are out there on the street at 5:30 6 o'clock when the mosquitoes come out. We wait until they've all gone to bed, and then we go and spray poison all over our neighborhoods. Now, Roundup. They told us Roundup was 100% safe and we were all going to be okay. They told us that. Well, you know what? There are billions of dollars worth of lawsuits right now that are juries are awarding people for that poison, which they told us was safe, which has suddenly been discovered to not be safe anymore. Now, I don't want to find out that the people who said this poison is safe were wrong. I don't want poison sprayed on me at all. What I want is a darned educational program for our citizens where we educate them on the fact that they are growing their own mosquitoes at their homes. We don't seem to be able to do that. We don't have letters, we don't have door hangers, we don't have notes. Heck, I've got people in my neighborhood who would pass them out if we had any educational information to give our citizens. And I hope we're working on some. But I am not in favor of spraying poison all over our neighborhoods when it really doesn't do anything except make residents think that something's being done. That just drives me nuts. And because I am out on the street walking when they're spraying the poison, it's hard to get home because I don't want to walk through a cloud of poison. I don't. And hopefully nobody else wants to either, but we're out there spraying everything indiscriminately, and as far as I know, what we're killing is not the mosquitoes. And they only grow in standing water. So if you're keeping standing water at your house, you're growing mosquitoes. But we have to take some responsibility for ourselves. I do not want to get cancer because the city wanted to make people feel like the mosquitoes were being killed. So I'm not voting for this. I don't care if you bring it up here 3,000 times. I won't vote for herbicides and I will not vote for poison, especially when you're spraying it on me.
Okay, well, can we move for a vote?
We can.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Oh, Councilor Hilliard's name is up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Madam President, I wanted to move for a vote, but on that other end of it, if there was a way, since President Abbott or maybe possibly Mr. O'Quinn, Councilman O'Quinn doesn't want theirs, could we move some of that over to my area? I'd like to have a little bit more.
I want you to double down on District 4.
Yeah, so if they can opt out, I would like to take some of their pesticide. Until we can educate the public, I want them to be safe. I had a relative to die encephalitis, a mosquito bite. I know that they are poison, and I do know that, I'm going to tell you something. I pray that it's safe, and I hope that we can find out something about it and get more education. But for now, before those mosquitoes start biting, I would like to have that spray, and so I will voluntarily take their portion for District 9.
You can have it.
Okay. Well,
Dr. O'Quinn, you're next.
Yes, I just want to make a plea to the community for folks who are out in the community who are well educated on this topic. I would request that you please engage with our city council and our mayor and help educate all of us as to not only the impact of mosquito spraying and herbicide spraying, but the efficacy of those practices. As I mentioned, there are many municipalities throughout the country and around the world, some of them right in our backyard, who have opted to discontinue this practice. And I don't think that's just because a few people decided that they didn't like it. So, at the very least, the city of Birmingham ought to be up to speed with current best practices And if for no other reason, please help educate us so that we can be informed on best practices. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Madam President. Mayor, staff, on cdc.gov it says that adulticide will cause no harm to people, pets, animals, or the environment. What are y'all spraying adulticide? Okay, what's the difference between and then I assume that the other one is probably called larvicide. So is there a way you cannot spray larvicide? Is there a reason you spray adulticide and not larvicide?
Counselor, adulticide is for the adult mosquitoes that when they fly, and a larvicide is like a puck that you place into standing water. It's a form of it. I think that you can also spray larvicide as well, but pucks are the main way of getting the larvicide before they hatch.
So in a shocking turn of events, I actually contract with Mosquito Authority to come spray my house because I don't like to get eaten up by mosquitoes. So what are they spraying at my house? Is that adulticide probably?
Likely that is adulticide, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. So I'm covering my house with whatever we're spraying. All right. Just for the record.
Councilor Alexander.
Thank you, Madam President. I was going to have questioning and don't want to belabor this or keep this going, but I was going to have the same question to you, Mr. Gibbons. I did a little reading after our last meeting about the adulticide and the larvicide and the particular harm or impact, possible impact of harm to adults using one versus the other in humans and pets. So I guess my question was, what did we use in the past? Was that an adulticide or was it a larvicide? Or is this any change?
It's not a change at all. We've used adulticide for the city's program for quite some time, as I understand it.
All right, thank you. That was all my question.
Yes, Dr. O'Quinn. And this is your third time to speak.
Yes, thank you for indulging me. So I just wanted to make the point with reference to the CDC information. That information that you read is toxicity, like immediate toxicity. So yes, if you do, as Councilor Hoyt mentioned a couple of weeks ago, if you run behind a mosquito truck.
I'll run behind the truck, nor when they're spraying my house, I'm at anywhere outside.
It won't kill you right then and there, okay? But you have to think about the fact that we're doing this year in, year out for people's entire lifetime. And there is no information out there that has been long-term longitudinal studies that have looked at the application of these chemicals, their major portion of a year for years and years and years. And so, it is a toxic chemical. I mean, it is designed to kill. And although it may not kill you right now, we don't know what it does after years and years and years of exposure. So I just wanted to make that point.
Councilman Hoyt, been around.
Well, yeah, that's scary, isn't it? Well, I want to say that they told us DDT and Roundup were safe. Y'all just keep that in mind. They told us it was safe, and people now are dying.
They also
and
told women to smoke during pregnancy to lose weight. Lots of.
Yeah, lots of strange things.
Lots
But the poison. I mean, the wonderful mosquito killer of today could be the U killer of next year. And I want to go, but I don't want to go that way. So we're ready to vote.
Oh, which motion on?
We only have one.
Okay, motion to approve.
Can we get a second? We didn't get a second on
second
delay. I'm sorry.
No, which one are we on?
We're just on the main item. I don't think.
Okay, we're ready to vote. I was just trying to make sure on the main item to approve. Okay.
Maybe 246. 246. That vote should be up.
That item passes.
Okay, we need to make a motion to bring back item 1. It was tabled.
Do I hear a motion?
Second.
Dr. O'Quinn and President Pro Tem Parker. Item 1, our new date that has been selected is May 30th. So
May 3rd?
30th.
30th.
30.
Okay, motion for May the 30th.
Second.
So that was Williams, Williams second, I'm sorry.
And it will be Thursday, May 30th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. in the council chambers.
5:30. Let me type that in there. Okay, voting. I don't know if that's not Thursday, but we'll change that. Is that Thursday? Okay, good. Voting should be open. All right, that vote should be up.
That item passes.
I know, is that all we had?
That is it, and we are
Can I
ready.
Will y'all indulge me with one non-controversial comment, please, to the mayor's staff? Is everybody okay with
Yes.
that? Right,
And-
y'all know I want to get out of here faster than anybody.
You are the one who
So,
wants to leave.
Guys, is it really possible that, we did just approve the purchase of the adulticide for the mosquito program, but I do understand that there are lots of areas, and it's not only in O'Quinn's and Valerie's district, there are several blocks in my district as well that do not want, or in the past have really expressed that they don't want the herbicide. I'm assuming that there's probably a correlation into them not wanting the adulticide for the mosquitoes. Is it possible for y'all to do exactly what you do with the herbicide? And I think y'all do a good job of that with the opt-out. I know you said that you're going to do a 1-block radius, but I just want to make sure that the administration and that collective group here at City Hall is sincere about its intent to honor those residents' request, because I voted for it, but I understand very much what my colleagues' viewpoint.
Yes,
is.
Counselor, citizens, anybody can call 311. We've been taking a lot of requests on that exact thing to opt out of it by a specific address.
Okay, is there an email address that they could also email by any chance? I know you don't want to. I know you don't want that going to your inbox, but is there some sort of email address where those can be sent?
There may be a 311 email address. I'm not familiar with that, but 311 is our point of contact for the citizens to be able to request that through
I thought
Public Works.
311 wasn't working.
Yeah, well, we did create an email address for those type. Let us provide that back to you,
Yeah, because
Council.
I'd love to be able to provide that to my district, and I think that others would too, to opt out of that.
Definitely.
We'll provide that.
And I also want to point out that I'm hearing from constituents who are saying that they have opted out, but they're still being sprayed. So, I don't know what we need to do to address that issue, but what I'm saying is people are telling me they've called in, they've asked to be opted out, and they're still seeing the mosquito truck spraying in front of their property. So that issue needs to be addressed.
We need to work with the council's office on that. If that happens, we need to make sure that we get as quickly as possible an update on what those residents are so we can eliminate that.
And the wind blows it around because it's just a big giant fogger that sprays the stuff up in the air, and it blows wherever it feels like blowing. Just something to think about while you're breathing. I did neglect something myself. Ramsey High School is on the list of U.S. News and World Report's list of top 25 schools in the state of Alabama. They are,
Birmingham Public
that's
Schools.
right. They are number 11 of the 25, so they're not even at the bottom of the list.
Wow,
they're
number
above the middle
That is
of the
awesome.
list. So
What a non-toxic
daughter's-
and wonderful way to end this meeting.
That's
Yes.
right. Do I hear a
Motion to
motion?
adjourn.
Second.
All,
All in
Mr.
favor, let
Clerk?
it be known by saying aye.
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 We're adjourned.
30th.
I somehow totally lost that mosquito spraying.